It's day 10 and race 10 in the cross-country stadium today. The share of gold, 8 have gone to Norway, 2 have gone to Sweden, and the Norwegian men are unbeaten so far. But today could be their biggest test. Finland, Sweden, France might mount a challenge of some sort, but it's Russia who are going all out to spoil the Norwegian party and stop them getting 10 in a row.
Well, summer is over here in Seefeld, from 15 degrees and sunny yesterday to 2 degrees rain/snow, and still in Seefeld, and maybe the most exciting day of the championship, the 4x10K relay. And speaking of excitement, this is our cross-country expert, Devin Kershaw. Now it's no longer man versus man. Now it's country versus country.
Oh, it's going to be so exciting. I cannot wait. This is for the bragging rights, and this is why this event is so important every single championship.
But you win as a team, and you also lose as a team, and cross-country is an individual sport. Is that a game changer today? Because now you have to think of the team, not just yourself.
Oh, absolutely, Carsten. I've never been more nervous in my life than any relay day. Like you said, you don't want to let your teammates down, and then you're wearing, it's like you almost realize for the first time that, oh man, this suit I'm wearing has my country's name all over it. It's your country's hopes. You see all the Norwegian fans here. They're hoping for gold, but there's some Russian fans in the house too, and Swedish, so everybody's racing not only for themselves, but for the country. The nerves are high.
Yeah, we just saw Ivan Iskan. He has the second stage for Finland. But let's go back to Lahti in 2017. And the relay, it turned out to be a heavyweight fight for the gold between Norway and Russia.
Well, Russia led after the first 2 legs, just ahead of Norway. Finland and France some 30 seconds back. Sundby was on leg 3 for the Norwegians, and he opened up a gap of some 17 seconds over the Russians and handed the lead to Finn Hagen Krogh, who's 4th in the sprint and 3rd in the skiathlon. But it was Ustiakov, 2nd in the sprint, the winner of the skiathlon, who was chasing him down. Norway holding on. The gap got down to less than 8 seconds, but Finn Hagen Krogh reached the summit of the final hill with a margin of just over 10 and sailed home to make it 9 in a row for Norway, which means they're going for 10 in a row in terms of World Championship relays, and that challenge lies today. A brilliant win for Norway. Ustiakov having to settle for silver again.
Here we are, 4x10 kilometer. It's relay day for the biggest countries in cross-country skiing. The loop is a 3.3 kilometer loop on the blue side, the shaded side. But today there will be no sun to affect the conditions. It's fairly cloudy. As we've seen a lot, this loop is fairly simple. Not too many big climbs, but it might all come down to this. Here we are yet again at the top of the sprint hill on the blue lap. Today, 4x10K, and will it come back down to this moment right here? Will we see Ustiakov and Klæbo together, stopping here and playing a game of possum? Only time will find out. I think that's probably what's going to happen. Ustiakov and Klæbo here, right at the end, battling it out for the gold medal and bragging rights for who is the best skiing superpower. At the other side of the coin, the course itself, not that technical. The weather, bit rainy. It's going to be hard to break away, but if anybody can do it, Sjödotha or Alexander Bolshinov, they have a chance on that 3rd leg. We saw yesterday with Charlotte Kalla. What an amazing 3rd leg by her, but we're just going to have to wait and see. And after that sprint hill, ever so important, you come down into the stadium, and then it's all about positioning either out to your lap or the finish.
Norway, they have 4 world champions from this championship in their relay team, and the Norwegian coach, well, he had a difficult time picking out the 4 racers, but he's sure that the team he has picked out is good enough for gold.
Emil.
Maybe the toughest was choosing between Didrik and Emil, but Didrik was very honest and said that he was so uncertain of his shape that he wanted to give away his place to Emil.
Well, selection always one of the toughest jobs for the Norwegian coaches, but once again their team are the strongest here on paper. But the coach Erik Mirnosson is sure they're going to have a fight on their hands with 1, 2 or possibly 3 other nations.
Russia, but always Sweden. Yeah, we have had some big battles with them. Finland, Ivo Niskanen probably on the second leg will be really tough. But as a team, I think Russia are our strongest competitor.
On the ankle leg for Norway, Johannes Husfurt Klæbo, the fastest skier in the world. Even if he has to chase down Ustiagov, the Norwegians say they're ready.
Probably, I think the classical legs will go quite fast. You have Lekov and Besmertnik from Russia, who has been so great was so great in the 15. But we have also Emil and Martin. We're ready for everything, both full speed from the start and a bit slower. But bring it on.
Bring it on, says the Norwegian coach. And we have 4 stages in this relay, and hopefully some epic duels. Oh. Let's start with stage number 1. It's Emil Iversen against Andrei Larkov.
Oh, it is a massive duel. Larkov 4th in the 15K, but Emil Iversen is the world champion in the team sprint for a reason. He's a great classic skier. His technique is absolutely impeccable. He was disappointed to be 10th, Karsten, but Larkov is going to be a really, really, really tough competitor. That said, we've seen the first leg, the scramble leg as it's called. It's usually a lot of bodies, not much room, and you know what? Most of the time, I would not expect this thing to blow wide open with one guy going off the front with 30 seconds. I feel like it should be pretty safe.
That's the first stage. Stage 2, world champion Martin Jonsrud Sundby against silver medalist from the same distance, Alexander Besmertnik.
This duel is actually one of the ones I'm most excited about. I thought Alexander Besmertnik skied so incredibly well. Both these athletes were amazing in the last few kilometers, but Besmertnik has got to be kicking himself a little bit. He's got to be out for revenge. Just over 3 seconds is not a lot to win a world championship gold medal, and he was 3rd in Konya. He was 2nd in the 15K Classic, so today he wants gold.
And this just gets better and better, because now they change style from classic to skate. Oh. Then it's skiathlon world champion Sjur Øtte against skiathlon silver medalist Alexander Bolshunov.
Oh,
another heavyweight fight.
Oh,
there.
This is every single duel. That's why I'm so fired up for today. Sjur Øtte has had an amazing world championships. He's been just a darling story of the Norwegian media. Last year, didn't even make the Olympic Games team. Thought, you know, there's talk of him retiring. He couldn't figure things out, and now he's here with a gold medal. Like you said, every one of these guys have a gold medal in the Norwegian team, and he's going to be really tough to beat. But if you're going to put somebody against Sjur Øtte, why not be the number 2 in the overall World Cup standings? Alexander Bolshunov, he has 2 silver medals. We know he's frustrated, so this is a great duel.
And stage 4, that's Ali Foreman, or Tyson Holyfield if you like. Klæbo versus Ustiugov. They don't have too many duels in big championships.
No, they haven't. I mean, Johannes is just so young. He doesn't have that many championships, Karsten. But this is the heavyweight duel, like you said. This is packing MGM Grand in Vegas.
And this is from the 5th stage in Oberstdorf. Yeah. You will see something like that today. Look at Klæbo now when Ustiugov on the left-hand side tries to walk away. He can't.
No, exactly. And if you saw that shot just before, there's nobody else in the shot. These two are the big boys of the sport. And Klæbo, you can see here, slowing it down. He's a tactical master. It's unbelievable at 22 how tactical he is. But Ustiugov might not be the smartest man tactically, but he sure has a lot of gold medals around his neck. And remember, in Lahti, he was so dangerous.
Yeah, and also this was from the sprint on the first day of the championship. These two guys, they're not so very fond of each other, are they?
You know what? Absolutely not. You saw some aggression. Whoa, there you go. I think Ustugov is going to change to hockey. Russia's got a great hockey team, remember? And there you go. If he could have dropped if his gloves weren't so tight, he would have wanted to drop them. A lot of chirping going on, but it's going to be an amazing, amazing battle. I'm so happy these two are the last two.
We're looking forward to the last stage of the relay. Of the last 15 relays in the World Championship, Norway has 13 gold medals. And guess the last time they didn't win a gold medal? I was here in Austria.
So 9 in a row for the Norwegians, a record-winning streak. The last beaten, 1999, in Austria, by the Austrians. Botvinov, Gandler, Stadlober, Hoffman. Well, that performance certainly has a dark cloud over it at the moment. But prior to that, Norway were beaten into fourth back in 1989 in Lahti. One of only 2 times in 32 4x10s that they finished off the podium. The master, Petter Northug, has anchored many a relay. And as soon as he retires, up steps Klæbo, an astonishing finisher. The Swedes, the Finns, the Italians, the French, the Russians haven't been able to match them.
We'll be right back from, well, a rainy day here in Seefeld. Then we will hear from this guy, Sjur Røthe, and also Martin Jonsrud Sundby. And, of course, is this a 2-horse race? Is it a 3-horse race? Devin's podium is coming up. He got 3 out of 3 yesterday. How will he do today? Welcome back to Eurosport's coverage of the FIS World Ski Nordic Championship here in Seefeld. We are only 15 minutes away from one of the highlights of this championship, the 4x10 kilometer relay for men. And Norway, they have 4 current world champions in their squad. Let's listen to 2 of them.
Sjur Røthe, how is the feeling ahead of the men's relay? Are you nervous or feeling the pressure?
Actually, I'm feeling quite good now, and but I would assume that when I start the warm-up, I will be a bit nervous and see the whole crowd and see the other guys on the team, and yeah, I hope I will be a bit nervous.
How do you think this relay is going to play out?
Hopefully it'll be a fast race on the first two laps, and that I can do a good third leg, and we'll see. Hopefully Johannes got good legs on the final leg as well.
Martin Jonsrud Sundby, do you expect this to be a battle between Russia and Norway?
Yeah, for sure. Everything else will be strange. Like I expect a lot of teams to have strong performances today, but I think in our minds this is an extremely tough battle with Russia, and I think on paper it's impossible to determine who is the favorite, but hopefully an epic relay for the history books. I hope we can present today.
And someone turned off the sun in Seefeld today. It suddenly started to rain. What are these conditions how are they gonna affect the race?
As you see, first of all, we take the interview in the car, so you don't have to get too wet before starting the warm-up here. I think a bit challenging conditions maybe for the classic legs. Some difficulties maybe for the waxers. I don't know. But we are the best waxing team, so I'm not that. I think we're going to manage quite well.
Here's the podium. This is what I'm saying. I know people at home are just getting bored of me. I sound like a broken record, but Norway has won every men's race. That's why I'm picking them first again here. We have Sergei Ustugov and the boys from Russia. I think it's going to be an epic battle again, Karsten. I picked them for second. And actually Sweden. The Swedish men have really, really, really struggled at this championship, but I think this is going to be a consolation prize and a bronze medal around the Swedes.
All right, but it's not an easy task for the Norwegian coach to pick the team. Because you were a bit surprised that Emil Iversen do the first leg.
Yeah, no, I was surprised. Emil Iversen is a fantastic classic skier. I mean, come on. He's had an amazing season, but at the end of the day, he was 10th in the 15-kilometer classic. And Didrik Tonseth, I mean, he didn't get a lot of limelight after that race. I thought he skied amazingly well, especially in the closing kilometers. I was quite surprised to hear that he wasn't feeling up to it, that he just didn't think he could deliver today. That's really surprising to me because he is such a great classic skier, and I thought he put together a great performance the other day.
But you also heard Martin Jonsrud Sundby being a bit worried about the classical part because of the weather, because it's raining, it's 2 degrees. Is it trouble for the waxers today?
Oh, for sure. I mean, look at the pictures, too, on your screen now. The snow is getting really, really dirty after so many days with 15 degrees, sun. There's just a lot of garbage in the track, not literal garbage, but dirt, pine needles, that sort of thing. And that creates a really big challenge for the waxing team. But like you heard from Martin Jonsrud Sundby as well, there's one team above the rest when it comes to the technical boys, and it is Norway. They are the Armada. They're the Goliath of this. I'm not too concerned that they'll miss it. I think they're really, really strong, and maybe it'll even help them that the conditions are a little tighter today with 2 degrees, not quite as loose as in the classic day we saw the other day.
Yeah, but you also will give the consolation prize or the 3rd place to Sweden. 2 years ago, Kalle Halvorsen was the anchorman, then with the 3rd. In 2015, he was the anchorman, they were 2nd. In 2013, he was the anchorman, they were 2nd. Now they changed the anchorman to Victor Thorn. Will that make a difference?
Well, you know what? They're going to be dropped by this point anyway, so I don't think it's going to make a big difference. But I think their team is quite strong. Calais, you know, there's been a big storm around Calais. Some of this stuff coming out of NRK, and he had to answer to a lot of questions. He was a little rude there on some of those videos, but he is an amazing skier, and I expect him to bounce back today. Victor Thorn, he was the first in the qualification in the sprint. He's super, super strong. Jens Berman, great athlete himself, and Oscar Svensson has been actually amazingly good at these championships, and I would love it nothing more. I would love nothing more than to see a bronze medal around these guys' necks. I think they're strong enough to do it. There's been some sickness in the French team. They have a lot of championship bronzes in the last little bit, but you know, when Magnifica had a fever on the weekend and Jean-Marc Gaillard isn't even on the relay team today, I think Sweden looks good for the bronze.
All right, but the silver, as you predict, Devon, is going to the Russians. But what will be the Russians' tactics? Will they lead from the start here? Try to shake off Norway, or what?
You got to think. I mean, what I've seen from the Russians, Carsten, so many times is the tactic is literally gun to tape, annihilate. That's what they know how to do. They don't seem to be the strongest team tactically, and when you play by the sword, you die by the sword. I think they're going to really try and drill it early. Like I said, maybe not on the first leg because it is so busy. Space is tight. We'll have to see, but from the second leg, that's going to be a battle royale. Besmertnik, Sundby, that's where it starts.
Okay, we're looking forward to that, but we just don't know the Russian tactics today, but maybe we will find out now because our reporter Gunhild, she is together with the Russian coach, Marcus Kramer.
Russia versus Norway, that's the big battle that everybody expects today. Do you that too, Marcus Kramer?
Yes, when you saw the results before, so it looks like it will be this. Norway, Russia, Russia, Norway. And no, I hope it will be an interesting race for the spectators. And I hope, of course, that we are the winner at the end. But no, I hope it will be interesting and the best must win.
Do you think it's going to be like full speed from the start, or are we going to see some tactics here?
I think it will be more full speed from the start, so it will be because nobody won't come together with Klæbo on the finish line. So I think all will try to make a gap on the beginning.
Klæbo doing the last leg for Norway, Ustjugov for Russia. Do you think Ustjugov needs a bit of a gap if he's going to beat Klæbo on the final leg?
Yeah, it will be good when we have a small gap, because then it seems more easier. But yeah, you never know. It's with the skis, with the wax, with the guys, how is the shape on this day. So it's a lot of things to come together for the good result. So, but once again, I hope it will be interesting and nice competition.
But do you have a gut feeling, Marcus Kramer? Who do you think is going to win this relay?
I know I'm very nervous today. Yeah, it can be both. It can be Norway, it can be Russia. I think it looks like one of these both teams will be the winner today.
Okay, the boss is a bit nervous, Karsten. We are so looking forward to the men's relay today.
Oh, yeah, we really are. Thank you so much, Gunhild. And 2 years ago, Ustjugov, he was trying to narrow the gap to Finn Hågenkrog, who was the Norwegian anchorman 2 years ago. He didn't make it. Does he have a better chance to tighten a gap if it's Klæbo in front?
You know what? I personally, I don't think so, but I think what you heard from Kramer there, he wants Ustigov to be the one with the gap. Ustigov is an amazing skater, 15K individual skate, not his best event maybe. Skate sprint is a great event for him, but he is insanely strong in that discipline. So I think the Russians are hoping to be in the lead coming into that last lap and put the pressure on Klæbo and the Norwegian boys.
Yeah, we also heard the tactics were go for full speed ahead early in the race.
Oh yeah, that's the Russian way, baby. Just press on the gas, and it's almost like you tape 3 bricks to that right foot and just slam down on the gas and just go till the car stops. So I'm not shocked to hear him say that that's the tactic either.
That's a nice image. Yeah, full speed ahead. Okay, we will be right back here on Eurosport, and it's time for the 4 times 10 kilometer relay. We see here the favorite, Johannes Høsvold Klæbo. He's the anchor man for Norway. Will they do it again? Well, we'll soon find out.
Here we go then. It is day 10, race 10, and this is the one that most of the fans have been looking forward to. Bragging rights certainly at stake in the men's 4x10 kilometer relay. Now, Mike, some people would find it hard to believe that a 40-kilometer race can be the most interesting one at the championships, but it's like a game of chess, and the selection that the 2 big teams have made is so interesting.
It is. You've got 2 incredibly fast sprinters taking up the final leg for Norway and for Russia, and of course there's a lot of needle between those two athletes. You need a good finisher. They're both very good finishers. I think today may well come down to the best glide, the best equipment on the way around this 40 kilometers. They are so evenly matched.
And particularly so because the first 2 legs are in the classic style, the traditional style where they keep the legs in the tracks, keep the skis in the spores as they're called. There's Iversen, who takes the first leg for Norway. What a lot of responsibility on his shoulders. Not only because he's got that first leg, but he's done every race so far at these championships. And I had a chat with Andy Musgrave this morning. He was saying every race is the equivalent of double the distance because the going has been so hard.
Exactly that, and that's where I think Larkov's brief today is, having only done 1 race here, is go out there and give your whole world to this next 26 minutes. He needs to get rid of Iversen, and I think that'll be the strategy.
Now, I know Norway have won the last 9, but Russia are a team who will die for their country, and they will work hard. France, well, they've done really well. Bronze in the Olympics last year, bronze in Falun, bronze in Sochi. Can they get another medal today? Finland might put up a challenge in the early stages. They've won 5 times. Their last gold came in 1976. As for the Swedes, they got the Olympic title in Sochi. What a race that was. And they also took the gold in the women's 4x5 yesterday. So spirits in the Swedish camp have to be high. Germany wearing 6. 1 win in this event back in 1974 in Falun with Philbrook, Teichmann, Angerer, Sommerfeld, names of old. They don't have anything like that class at the moment. Italy, Mike, traditionally Italy hang on for dear life and then put up a challenge on the final leg.
They do. Well, remember, they got the gold at the Olympics back home in 2006, but that was their best ever day. They have a chance today.
Team 8, Kazakhstan. 9 is Canada. The Czech Republic wearing 10. Switzerland, United States, China and Ukraine make up the 14. So, all the action expected up front. And no one, I don't think, Mike, is expecting an easy first leg. With Larkov in there for Russia, his brief is to give Besmertnik a 10-15 second gap over Martin Jonsrud Sundby, who will then hopefully hand a 20-second lead to Röda, who will then hand a margin to Ustigov. Remember in Lahti 2 years ago, Russia were, what, 17 seconds down after a brilliant third leg from Martin Jonsrud Sundby. So the waiting is over. The men's 4x10 is underway, and with the gold bib on, the defending champions, Norway looking to make it 10 world titles in succession. Germany yesterday were trying to get 10 major titles in the Nordic combined, Mike. It came to a grinding halt. A really poor performance from them, allowing Norway to take the honours in the Nordic combined.
Absolutely. absolutely. And what about the women's relay yesterday as well? In Norway, I think we could say were not nailed-on favourites, but they've barely lost a relay, and they had a real fear over who should take the anchor leg, and Norway's athletes in the end making the decision that Therese Johaug, the lady who has no sprint finish, should take the anchor leg. It didn't work out for them.
Well, we both had a big question mark against that order, and I think a lot of people now, it's easy in hindsight, thinking that Johaug should have taken the second leg, got a lead for Norway, and then hopefully the others hang on and maybe even put Faller on the last leg, because Nielsen knew if she was level with Johaug coming into the last kilometre, there was only going to be one winner.
It seems like every coach here had that same theory of how they would play those amazing 4 cards in the Norwegian team. Larkov has been caught a little by surprise here, Patrick. Iversen, he's tired, yes he is, but he stamped his authority on this mass start. He went out like a rocket, his double pole power. And Larkov, well, some way back, has been caught almost sleeping in this. He's trapped in now. He needs to break free soon if he wants to really give Russia an advantage on the first leg.
Well, they're still on the first lap, 3 laps for each athlete, 3.344 kilometres to get them as near to 10Ks as possible, just slightly over. 123 metres of climbing, Mike. Essentially, there are 2 climbs on each lap, so 6 in all on each leg.
Yes, I mean, it's actually one of all the other races here. They are some of the easier courses over the last 10 World Championships stroke Olympics. But today, the profile, yes, you're up at, what, 360 metres over the 10-kilometre journey.
Now, it's not our job to promote the venue that hosts the World Championships, Mike, but one thing I would say that's been so impressive is the fact that not only are the World Championship tracks in good nick, that the tourist trails are amazing, and they're about twice as wide as you get anywhere else in the world, bar Oslo.
I have to say they are fabulous, and a lot of the teams opting to live over just, 8 Ks away, 5 miles away over in Leutasch. And I think that's teams hiding away. The Brits are there, the Norwegians are there, but the skiing is spectacular and fairly peaceful. Get away from the maddening crowd here.
Yeah, talking about the Brits, got the pleasure of skiing with the 2 Andrews this morning, a 10K loop. I was hanging on in there.
Hope you got their autographs.
Well, it seemed to waste not to talk at the same time. Luckily, the pace was slow. They're obviously having an easy day today. They'll have another easy day with a couple of short sprints tomorrow, building up to the 50K. They were in very, very good form, both of them looking forward to this relay. And no doubt they're got their feet up in front of the TV, just working out how this one is going to pan out. Both of them training in Norway, so I guess their support is for the Norwegians.
Oh, I think it will be, but aren't they fantastic lads? Very modest, they're brilliant. What they've done here has been fabulous so far, and of course Muzzy on Sunday over 50 kilometres. He'll be on fire.
Yeah, Muzzy and Andrew Young, of course, both being stopped by numerous tourists asking for selfies and just autographs and stuff. Very, very tolerant of that. I asked Andrew Musgrave if he can go anywhere in the world without being stopped, and he said, well, if there's a ski track, no, but I can go to Scotland and no one knows who I am, which sort of is slightly surprising, isn't it?
Isn't that tragic? You know, in all the nations that know this sport well, he's a half man, half god, but yeah, back home, sadly, it's not that much known. This is pedestrian. I think, Patrick, we might even manage to stick with this at the moment. Maybe after 4 minutes. Now, listen, nobody's taking charge here. Somebody's got to unleash soon. Because it is slower up front, Patrick. Remember, we've had that, first of all, it was snow, then it was sleet, so the tracks at the front, Iversen figured that out and said, nope, I don't want to do the trailblazing at the front, and that's why it's gone slow.
Well, that sort of gives us a hint. And just before the start of the race, Mike, we had, what, half an hour, 45 minutes of snow. Then it turned to rain, then it went to snow again. It is just perfect conditions for zero skis. It'd be fascinating to see what each of the teams has put on, but that's absolutely top secret. 1 or 2 of the athletes just going the wrong side of the billboards. That's okay, as long as you're not more than 2 meters away from the track. But does it mean, Mike, that once they've completed 1 lap, the tracks are then pressed in and someone is going to unleash an almighty second lap?
I think so. I think that's why it's a chess game at the moment. Really good to see Alex Harvey up front. I thought Alex may try and break away, and I think Alex will be fantastic on Sunday in the 50-kilometre. But at the moment, let's be honest, 5 minutes gone. They're queuing up. Who's going to break free? Not yet. not anybody yet, should I say.
Do you think the Canadians showing a lack of confidence, putting their number one on the first leg? Len Valius took the first leg in Pyeongchang at the Olympic Games. He did lose, what, a minute 15 seconds. So I wonder whether that experience said, well, don't fancy that again.
Well, I think you've got to be in it to win it. You've got to be there early. We saw Iversen double poling further than anybody up the hills, but I think so let's assume that he's got light wax on because this profile allows it. But what it's allowed him there is quite a fast glide. That seemed to be the fastest pair of skis. Look at him double poling. The rest are in classic style.
Back towards the stadium. The stadium announcer in that tower you saw in the background, and that signifies the start of the last big climb on each of the laps. And this, once again, is where we're expecting the race to be won and lost later on this morning. Team 9, that's Canada with Alex Harvey at the back at the moment. Showing no panic is Oskar Svensson of Sweden. He's a member of the Falun-Borlänge Club. Falun, of course, a venue that has hosted World Championships, regularly hosts the last rounds of the World Cup, but not this year because the tour are going over to North America.
Backscheider deciding it's too slow. Iversen's facial expressions from the word go. You mentioned he's done all the races here. Only 2 athletes have done all the races here, and he's one of them. Bolshunov is the other athlete. And let's be honest, Bolshunov was tired over the 15-kilometer journey, as was Iversen.
Are you surprised that the Norwegian competitors get so much say in who races and who doesn't? We saw Klæbo handing a place, was it to Rutte or I think it was to Rutte in the 15K, and of course Tonseth was offered a place in the relay, but he didn't take it.
I'm surprised at that. I did see Tonseth out this morning, and for me, he's lightweight. He likes this course. He showed he's on form by finishing, what, was it 5th or 6th in the 15-kilometer? He's a man on form. I'm amazed, but maybe it's a pressure thing. You've got a lot of pressure when you've got that Norwegian suit on, and maybe that was an issue.
But I can't see a Premier League player saying, boss, I don't fancy it today.
Well, unless he had some kind of virus, because he did say, I don't feel good for this. And, you know, athletes know their bodies very well. Maybe he was having a bad moment.
Hey, Charlotte Kalla didn't want to race in yesterday's 4x5 relay, but my goodness, she produced the decisive leg. So feeling bad doesn't always mean you're going to produce a bad run.
Exactly that. She said to the coach, I want to opt out. I don't feel I've got no form. I've got no sting anymore. He sat her down, talked for a long time and said, Kalla, Charlotte, you can do this. You know, you are one of the best that can turn the pace on. And it was a positive outcome. What's Larkov doing, Patrick? He's 5th position. Is he brief just to stay with it, or is he going to unleash maybe on the last lap?
Well, I think once this first loop is completed, we'll see him make a move. He's looking very comfortable. Beautiful technician. Iversen with a slightly short, stunted style at the moment. Just looking fairly relaxed. And he's been controlling most of this first loop. But Larkov, to me, looks ominously strong. Just behind him in team number 9. That, of course, is Canada with Alex Harvey. No Austrian team. No surprise. I'm sure many of you have seen the doping scandal that's been going on here. And there's some very, very disturbing videos out that you might have seen as well. Incidentally, the man who published them, a member of the police force here, has since been sacked. Which is probably right, but
quite right,
I feel, Mike, that the world need to know what goes on, and that video actually a much more powerful message than all the wrangling and the legal disputes that go on, for example, that we saw after Sochi.
I agree, but there's no wriggle room. It's out, everyone's seen what happens behind closed doors. We very rarely see that, but I think it was tragic. The athlete's face should have been covered, and now he needs to be supported by Austrian skiing.
Welcome back to the men's 4x10, the 10th of 12 races on the cross-country tracks throughout these World Championships. Just the women's 30 and the men's 50 still to go. Tomorrow the women's 30, on Sunday, for many, the highlight of the championships. It's a festival, really, the 50-kilometer. It goes on a while, but it should be a fascinating race. And, of course, Andrew Musgrave and Andrew Young from Great Britain will be entered into that.
Backscheider, the Frenchman, was quite light in his lights. There he is. He's just been given a yellow card. He records. He's perceived to be skating around the corner, getting a and Michael Novak. Verbal warning, once he got to go off the course, maybe he was the one going round the course. It's not that easy to go off the course, let's be honest, but it seems like he has. So many things could happen today. Alex Harvey just beginning to pick this pace up now. Smithson's slipping like a mad thing. It's just it's light wax, but he's got a very good drive.
Ristomati Hakala there for Finland, just drawing up alongside Andrei Larkov of Russia, who's ahead of Norway for the first time, and he's going to go at some stage, but when will he go? He's fresh. I think that's absolutely key. He was 4th in the 15K, so he's in good shape, but that is the only race he's done at these championships so far. And Mike, the Russians, the last World Cup in Ulricehamn, in the 4x7.5, I think it was there, not only did they win, but they got 2nd place as well. So the biggest problem they've had today is selecting the right team.
Well, hey, what a great job that is for a coach when you've got 8 people that good, and it is often a problem. And it's strange that in the Norwegian side, no one's queuing up to mass start this or finish it, or in fact Tønseth, but clearly not feeling well today. So Backscheider got a yellow card for technique violation skating, and Novak not following the marked course. I think that's where he went round the cones here. Well, the rules say you can be 2 meters from the marked course, but they obviously didn't like him going round the cones.
12 of the 14 teams still grouped together on this first lap, and nothing between them when they went through the first 3.34 kilometers. And if it keeps going like this, there'll be nothing between them when they go through 6.66 or 6.8.
I suppose this is playing into Norway's hands. We kind of thought there'd be a runaway Russian attack early to try and get away from Klæbo on the last leg, or separate Ustjugov from Klæbo. I think the Norwegians will be happy about this. No breakaway. In fact, when have we last seen all the teams bar one still together at nearly 14 minutes? It's rare.
Yeah, it's not the scenario we were expecting, but I'm just waiting for that red suit lying in 4th, 5th place
on the last lap
to show us what he can do. But on the last lap, Mike, 3.3, how much time can he open up there? Possibly he can get 10 seconds. He might need more. Sweden will be delighted with the way things are going at the moment. Kalle Halvarsson takes the next leg. Halvarsson, Mike, ridiculed in the press. I don't know if you saw the video that he made.
Saw it.
It was meant to be satirical. It was meant to be funny. It wasn't. And the Norwegians cleverly published it on NRK just the day before these championships started. So I don't have any doubt that got into Halvarsson's mind.
Well, he's started so many races so strong here, but yes, maybe his mindset, and he's picked up a lot of criticism by the commentators and press back home for not having the killer the fighting factor when it comes to the last quarter of a race. He starts strong, but then loses his way. You need to dig deep, and they feel that maybe he can dig a little deeper. America now coming up front. That's good news. Erik Bjørnsen, he did very well here. 17th in the 15-kilometer classic. There he is.
Switzerland, they've kept themselves in this leading group. They finished 4th in the relay in Weiderstollen, so they might start to think they can get into the top 3. It's certainly a possibility. Didn't do too badly in Lahti in the last World Championships. They finished 4th just behind Sweden on that occasion, and their trump card, Dario Colonia, going on the 3rd leg.
I think this is a great Swiss team, especially they certainly haven't over-raced. They're a fresh team, and you need fresh legs in this particular race. Svensson slipping occasionally up front, but it's one of these very difficult waxing days.
Iversen has slipped a lot, Mike, and if there's anyone in that leading group who looks as though they're working hard, it is Emil Iversen. Again, he slips on that right foot, and he's starting a little few sharp little words, both beginning with F, which I think indicating that he's not happy with the skis at the moment, and the Norwegian technicians will be watching on. I wonder whether they're saying, okay, we need to go a little more grippy. It's okay having fast skis, but you've got to be able to get up the hills, and he might get left behind on the 3rd lap.
That's what I'm expecting to happen. The pace has picked up, but it's not at full pace yet, and I think that's Oskar Svensson and the Swedes are really up for this one today. They want a bit of pride back in the men's field.
hanging on in there. Kazakhstan without their key player, Poltaranin, who is one of those who has been taken in for questioning by the Austrian police after the doping scandal that hit 2 days ago. And I think that might be the last we see of Poltaranin. He's actually admitted to blood doping, and the penalty now is 4 years, and he's not young. So that's a real shame, because he was one who added spice to every single classic race we've covered.
Oh, he's been the master technician in terms of classic, but sadly for me, I've lost all respect, to be honest. But it's systems, it's not so much athletes that need to fall. Of course, the athletes do when they're cheating, but the system need around them. They're established in that mindset that it's okay. It's not okay. You're robbing other people of prize money, of status, of a lot of hard work, and I think it needs to change.
Well, surely, I don't think anyone would disagree that you've got to punish the athletes involved. Probably as well as a ban, you need some sort of financial or some term of custody, but you've got to do more, even more, to the people in charge, the mastermind behind the doping scandals, because there aren't many athletes who know when to take what and how much to take. The doctors and the guys who are the brains behind it, they have got to be absolutely slaughtered to stop them even thinking that it's acceptable.
I'm totally with you, and you know, this has happened before. Let's be honest. 2006 Olympic Games, it happened to the Austrian team as Iversen still at the front goes through with 1 lap to go.
6.6 covered. Russia in 7th place at the moment, but only 1 second behind. The Czech Republic still in with it. Canada, they'll start to think maybe they can hang on. Backshider of France, outside the top 7 at the moment, but right with the pace. Italy in 2nd place, just behind Norway. Iversen again controlling the pace. That might be a little bit of a concern, Mike. He did tuck into the group earlier on. I'm just thinking maybe Iversen isn't comfortable out there, and he knows the best way of staying at the front is to be at the front.
It's a bit, and you know what? When you've got that Norwegian suit on, you have status, and it's a human thing where you think, well, that guy's at the front, that's all right, I'm doing fine. Nobody's, except Alex Harvey a couple of times, has had an attack or a change of pace. And it looks like this may remain this way. I'm surprised that Larkov, 1, 2, 3, 4th back on the left column. His skis don't seem to be gliding well, but he's got he can climb walls. Those skis are gripping well.
It is an amazing record that Norway have not been off the podium since 1989. A World Championships held in Lahti, actually, which was, I believe, Gunde Svan's last championships. Very tricky tracks in Lahti in the old days, same stadium, but the tracks have changed quite a lot since then, and that was the last time they failed to make the top 3.
It's incredible. I mean, what a record, and it shows the status that Norway has. They've got great athletes. They more often than not get their equipment just right, and you need to have a good glide today. You need to be able to grip to get up these steep climbs, over 360 meters of climbing.
Yeah, that was some championships in Lahti back in '89. Seems like yesterday. So Iversen just ahead of the Italians. Finland up in the top 4, as are Switzerland. Germany wearing 6. Looking comfortable at the moment with Sebastian Eisenlauer. Andreas Katz lined up for the 2nd leg for Germany. Remember Germany's last win back in 1974. They've had 5 podiums since 2000, Mike, but the last one in 2011, which must have been Oslo, when Germany got into 3rd place.
Yes, they haven't yet. And they've had a few 3rd places. You mentioned that earlier at the top of the programme. 2009, 2nd in Liberec. Norway, of course, winning again. A lot of these finishes have been less than a second over the years, over the World Championship history. Hey, this is great news for Italy and Rastelli. He was 4 minutes 11 behind in the 15-kilometre classic. After 20 minutes today, he's at the front. Figure that one.
Well, I think it tells you everything you need to know about the pace in the early stages. short, stumpy strides from Iversen, which must be a concern. He's such a good technician, Mike, but he's just not flowing at all today, and he'll be glad that he's come through 7.8 and he's still there. 2.2 to go on this first leg, and there'll be one or two coaches wishing that the pace would change. America and Italy, 1 and 2 at the moment. You wouldn't have put your money on that.
That's brilliant. But Erik Bjornsson, he's the real deal. He can handle the distance. He can handle the short races. 8th in the team sprint. The pace is strong. And I love the fact in all these mass starts, we see a very different type of racing. Athletes can just limp it on to the faster athletes ahead and bring themselves forward. Germany struggling a little. A change of pace there from Eisenlauer.
Now, is that Larkov starting to make a move? I think it may well be, and I think the Norwegians will have to match this one. Larkov has obviously picked his point at 8 kilometers, 2 kilometers to go. He is all in, and suddenly we're going to see this group of skiers blown apart as Russia turn on the power.
I think it's too little, too late, but yes, his mission now is to get clear and hand over with an advantage to Besmertnik.
Yeah, all credit to Erik Bjornsson. He's stuck in with it. Hey, the Americans, Mike, winning the Junior World Championships this year. How exciting is that? Luke Jaeger, Ben Ogden, Johnny Hagenbusch, and then Gus Schumacher taking that title ahead of Russia.
And
so hopefully, 4 years' time, we might see something from them.
And the junior women as well. I think it was 3rd or 4th for the junior women. Absolutely, they've got a good base on the pyramid of success, or the pyramid of athletes. That turn of pace is shaking things up. Erik Bjornsson at the front now.
Well, this is exciting for the Americans. For the last 4 or 5 years, all their coverage has come through their women, the likes of Jess Diggins and, of course, Keegan Randall before she retired at the end of last season. And suddenly there's a gap of, what, 25, 30 metres between 1 and 4.
And in this section of the track, though, Patrick, with Iversen's rapid skis, look at him standing up. You can't break away. I'm amazed this wasn't attacked a little earlier to try, if that is the strategy for Russia, to try and make a gap. I'm amazed it didn't happen earlier.
Well, I think this is where Larkov needed to go last time round if he wanted to get a gap of over 15 seconds. He may get 4 or 5, but it's not going to be enough to put Sundby off, who starts next for Norway. Besmertnik lined up for the Russians. And just a reminder, in case you weren't with us, Sundby winning the 15K, 2.5 seconds behind him. Besmertnik in silver medal position. And they go head-to-head in this 4x10 on the second classic leg.
And you just sense, you just feel there's going to be very limited change there in gaps at the front after Sundby and Besmertnik.
Here's the last big climb, and certainly Larkov looks to have the better skis on the lower section. Norway starting to lose a few meters, and that could be absolutely crucial. Can Russia get 10, 15 seconds clear before the end of this leg? Don't forget, Norway have good skis, so I think Iversen should be able to close the gap a little as they glide through the stadium. Well, oh, it's been a tough leg for Iversen.
It has. He has to modify his technique now. Look at his short stride and dropping all of his body weight down onto the limited wax that is under his skis.
So finally, the two favourites are in 1 and 2 at the moment. Germany with Sebastian Eisenlauer sitting in 3rd. The Americans dropping back a little bit after a good burst from Bjornsson that got them up into the top 4. Round the top corner, France, who must be thinking in terms of medals, having taken a bronze in Pyeongchang last year, down in 5th at the moment, and suddenly Iversen closes the gap again, Mike, but hands on knees. We've all done that, and we all do it when we're absolutely spent.
He is in agony. Those quadriceps must be screaming, needing help, but he'll glide down here. I'm sure next shot we'll see he'll be alongside or even ahead of Larkov.
Iversen 5th in the sprint event on the first air competition for the elites. He was 31st in the skiathlon, took it easy there. He won gold in the team sprint alongside Johannes Husford Klæbo, who takes the last leg for Norway, and then a disappointing 10th in the 15K Classic. But if Iversen can come in alongside the Russians at the end of this first leg, his job is done, and I think his place in the 50K will be handed to Simon Kruger.
Yeah, Kruger, he's another story. Of course, the Olympic champion in skiathlon, not even raced out yet. Eisenlauer, this is great news for Germany. He's only had one race here, 14th in the team event, team sprint.
Cats not Dobler for Germany on legs 2, 3 and 4. Larkov hanging on in there, too little too late, just as you said, Mike. I think if he'd gone with a lap and a bit to go, he might have opened up a decent gap over Iversen, who was just hoping no one would take control.
I'm surprised Marcus Kramer, the head coach of the Russian team, maybe didn't talk this through or say, okay, let's look at this. You've got to take the pain, go out as hard as you can from 5 kilometers into the race. He went at 8, it wasn't enough.
What are we going to see from Sundby and Besmertnik, who are going to be on the tracks in the next 15 seconds? The first exchange about to take place here in the men's 4x10. The leading 3 teams have a 30-meter lead over the chasing pack. It's Germany, the surprise inclusion. Away go Russia. Besmertnik, the silver medalist from the 15K. Alongside him in gold is the gold medalist from the 15K. Two of the best classic skiers in the world, and Sundby on a high, but I would imagine Sundby's quite tired because the media attention that he's had over the last 48 hours, unbelievable.
But he is quite a relaxed, non-stressed personality, and if there's one man on the planet who can hang on, no matter what the pace, it's Sundby.
Russia, Norway, Germany, the leading 3. The second leg has started. We've just gone past a big group of Finnish supporters, all shouting Ivo, Ivo, because Ivo Niskanen is on track, arguably the best classic skier in the world. Didn't manage to walk away with gold from the 15K. I don't think I've ever seen someone so disappointed with a bronze, Mike.
he was gutted. He couldn't. And Carsten said that'll be on eBay later tonight. He was that disappointed. And he'll want to prove himself today. And remember, in the skiathlon, he fell in the freestyle section, picking up his drink. He lost 12 seconds, and he was only 12 seconds behind at the end of that race. Even though it's freestyle, I think he could be gunning up for the 50-kilometer.
Yeah, and he had a fantastic pair of skis in that skiathlon, because Andrew Musgrave was losing him on the climbs, and every time he got to the bottom of the hill again, there he was, level with the British skier, who got a remarkable 7th place in that skiathlon. It was a fantastic effort, but he wasn't happy. Musgrave is racing for medals. Apparently Frank, his dad, has promised to get a tattoo of the Union Jack on both buttocks if Andrew finishes. I think that's the way it goes. It might have been one of those temporary ones, but I don't think Muzzy will let his dad get away with a temporary one.
Well done, Frank. That's a cracker. That's got to inspire Muzzy to just push that a little bit harder. A sight to see.
So up to 11.2, the first 1.2 of the second leg, very, very steady. They've all grouped together again, and that little burst of speed from firstly Björnsson and then Larkov and then Iversen at the end of that first leg has come to nothing. You wonder why they bother, Mike.
It's a lot of effort. You do wonder why they bother, but Besmertnik, he's the dictator out here, or he's going to be left at the front. Sundby, his only mission will be to hang on. Unless he feels maybe it's too slow at the end, he may try and break free to hand, of course, Sjur Rota an advantage. But they know they've got the ultimate finisher, so it doesn't really matter if they're still with the Russians with 400 meters to go. They'll be expecting a gold if that is the case.
But having said that, if you do give your team a 15-20 second lead over the pack, even if the pack come back to you, they have worked that much harder over the first K and a half. And come the end of the leg, that can be crucial.
A price to pay, yes, a change of pace. And of course, Niskanen here, he was 8 seconds at the handover deficit, so he's had to, sprint up rather quickly to place in third at the moment. He might be one to take the initiative and really push the pace hard on this, on the rest of this second leg. Look how wet it is, though. The ski poles splashing up all the snow. Difficult waxing day.
Now, one of the reasons Niskanen was disappointed with his bronze is because he wanted to be the first man to defend the world title over 15K. No one has ever done it. Part of the reason is that one World Championships, it's classic, Mike, and the next it's freestyle. Are there any other reasons that is such a difficult race to win twice?
I mean, unless your name's Dario Colonia, who's done it in terms of the Olympics in both disciplines. Certainly here, I think he could have done it had he started further back in the pack. Often it's a luck of the draw or where you put yourself in the draw.
Now, Sundby flying down the first hill, which is great news for him. We saw that from Iversen early on his leg. We had a look at the base of Iversen's skis. Mike, you think he was on zeros?
Yeah, I absolutely do. I think his skis were non-waxed. It's as if in the old days we used to sandpaper the base to create like a seal skin or a skin. And that's what he was on. That's why he was slipping, but he had a fabulous glide.
And the advantage of those is that you can get the grip a degree and a half either side of zero, and it doesn't make much difference. The disadvantage generally is that they don't glide very well, but his skis were going okay.
They do, and the other option today is Clister, which is like a treacle or a sticky honey, which doesn't come off easily in these conditions. It gives you tons of grip, but the glide as well is a factor, and without a doubt Iversen's option was better than the Clister option in terms of glide, but not so good in terms of grip. Well, that one descent, we saw what it did to Besmertnik. He was at the front, then he was dropped back to fifth, so he's got the grip, but he doesn't have the glide.
Halvarsen, he looks a little bit like Iversen did on the first leg, trying to stomp his way up the climb. Now he gets them to glide a little bit better. On the right of your screen is Martin Jonsrud Sundby, finally getting a major title. 20 individual races at major championships before he got his first win. A sensational victory that was, and it was a very, very tight one as well. France, Mike, looking ominous. Maurice Magnificat, who's a brilliant skier. Good to see him on the second leg. Clément Paris, Richard Jouve taking the final leg for France.
It's a great team, but like Devon earlier with his predictions of the ill health they've had, that worried me, but well, maybe they're back. And of course Magnificat on this leg doing no wrong.
Besmertnik of Russia, Mike, down in, what is he, 6th, 7th position at the moment. Are you getting concerned for the Russians?
A little bit, and Sundby will be given the information that your skis are so fast, maybe start breaking away now. Those skis are gliding so well for Sundby. He said it earlier in his interview that the Norwegian waxing staff are the best in the world, and we can see that today.
Well, he has a good look at the big screen. There's a screen on his left. There it is. And Sundby taking in all the information. And that's far better than listening to coaches, because with the noise the crowd are making, the messages are confused. Annie Musgrave saying 1 minute he was told he was 7th, the next he was told he was just knocking on the door of the podium. And he said it played with his mind in that 15K. He needed definite information.
Oh, you need info, or you're then confused. Is it the truth? Is it maybe a bluff to make me push harder? The brain computes all that when you're in a world of pain.
Well, that takes some doing to double pole up this climb. Does that mean that Sundby now has no grip whatsoever? He is immensely strong. We've seen him double pole 15Ks before, Mike, and every time he does it, he says, never again.
Well, we saw his physique in the 15-kilometer classic, that boiling hot day, 17 degrees of sunshine on the snow, and you could just see the developed arms that he has, shoulders, arms. Incredible athlete.
Yeah, I mean, those are the visible muscles, the triceps down the back of the arm, the lats that make them look like an inverted triangle. But the core is so important, the strength of the abdominals and the back muscles. One for generating power, or taking the power from the upper body into the skis, but two, to protect the back. And so many cross-country skiers having back problems over the years.
Look how wide they are. The stomach muscles are massive. I suffered this morning. Mine aren't anymore.
Well, they're starting to get strung out, and suddenly we have a group of 7. Norway at the front, Russia, their main rivals, at the back. The Americans are in there, so are France. Germany are there as well. Finland and Sweden, you'd expect. And the 3 Nordic countries, 1, 2 and 3 at the moment. I know Finland isn't part of Scandinavia. Never quite understood why.
I was told at school, because I remember it, didn't remember much from school, but I was told Finland was part of Scandinavia. But of course it's not.
Denmark
that was Acha Football Primary School. Denmark is.
The Danes racing earlier in the championships. No one qualifying for the latter stages, which a little bit disappointing. Your lad Scott, involved with waxing and helping out the Danish team. What was his assessment?
Yeah, he thoroughly enjoyed it. He was disappointed for his team. They'd so nearly made it, 0.8 of a second to qualify for the 15-kilometer. They did the team races. It's a growing team, and it's such a contrast. They only came with one pair of skis each. The Norwegian Wax Castle has got, what, 25, 30 pairs of skis each minimum, sometimes up to 70. So comparisons in terms of kit and support makes a difference.
Larkov slowly moving his way towards the front of this group. He's into 4th position now, keeping a close eye on Martin Jonsrud-Sundby. But from what we've seen so far on this leg, Mike, I think we can assume that the two favourites are going to finish leg number 2, reach the halfway stage side by side.
We saw the footage earlier when in Lahti at the World Championships, it wasn't sure, Rota. No, Finnhagen Krog taking the anchor. He was really upset with Sundby because Sundby only broke free by 17 seconds. There was still the 50k to go, and he felt his teammate Sundby could have broken away by more. And as he crossed the line, he said, I won't repeat what he said, but he said, Sundby, you could have worked harder. Because, remember, it was 8 seconds. Ustiugov chasing him down.
Well, 17 at the start of the leg.
And Ustiugov
came down to 8 seconds.
Exactly.
And then Ustiugov paying the price for chasing too hard too soon. You've got to pace your chase.
But Finnhagen had to work every inch of that track so hard. It wasn't comfortable. The rain's pumping on now. It was snow earlier. It's back to rain and slush.
Finnhagen not in the Norwegian team today. It's Johannes Husford Klæbo who goes for gold on the anchor leg for Norway. He's the best sprinter, so if they all come into the stadium together, you would expect to see Klæbo come through to win it. But Sergei Ustiugov, Mike, he's a wounded bear, and you do not want to get in his way today, because if there's one thing he really wants, it's victory in this 4x10.
He's a wounded bear, he's an angry bear, but sometimes anger can be used as a positive emotion in terms of racing if it's channeled well. If you get really frustrated with somebody, and I think he has been, of course, at these championships, it can be a negative. So that's maybe a worrying issue for the Russian team.
Well, Germany and France doing very well. France just 6 seconds back, and then there's a gap back to Kazakhstan. So I think we can already assume that the medals are going to be decided between these leading 7 teams, unless, of course, it becomes tactical on the last leg or the last lap of this second leg.
And look at this, lap 5 of 12. Canada is still there, only 9 seconds down at the last point of checking. And Switzerland still there, 8 seconds behind. Italy 7.2 behind. This field is still so incredibly tight.
Maurice Magnificat there for France. I'm surprised he's let go of that leading group. It's much easier to say you just still be with it than actually to be there. But suddenly, Magnificat puts in a little bit of a burst. And if he can get within 5 or 6 metres before this downhill, he might find himself back in contact.
The further down the track we go, Patrick, I think this is great news for the Swedish team. Halfarsson is at the races today. He's doing everything right, and I think he might really mount a challenge on the final lap. There's the detached 3 now, America in that detached 3, the lead 4.
The next big climb is the one just before they drop down into the stadium, and that might be where someone decides to go. Magnificat is getting closer and closer. This is the downhill where he may just make contact just in time for another really punishing uphill section. And you see the drafting effect there, Mike. Magnificat was, what, 5-6 seconds off the pace, and suddenly he's right up behind Besmertnik of Russia.
His skis are cracking. I think he's very light on drip wax, but he's taking the advantage of the glide. He's straight back in the race.
So from a leading group of 4, we are back to 7, but expect to see some more splits. Congratulations to the Americans. They've held on much longer than we thought. Scott Patterson is on this second leg. David Norris, Simeon Hamilton was due to take the ankle leg for the Americans. He's probably wishing he was still in there, but they've had to bring in a replacement.
Yes, they have. A late replacement announced this morning at 10:31, and it's Bratrud taking the anchor leg for America.
This is the stage of the first leg. We thought that Larkov should have put in an almighty effort. Bezmertnik from the back just takes a skate step to his side, looking for some clean track, keeping an eye on Sundby. Halvarsson of Sweden, he's on his way up. He's on the inside line. He could steal a march on the rest here. This is a good little burst from the Swede.
I like his style. He's copying the Klæbo Klopp, or the Klæbo running. And it's a good way to get so much force through limited grip wax. He's having to go onto the soft snow at the side to get the limited grip wax working again.
Jens Berman, Victor Thor on the freestyle legs for Sweden. Norway don't seem to be too interested in making the chase. Little slip from Sundby there. Now Sweden, their last big success, as we watched the Klæbo Klopp from Halvarsson, was Sochi 2014, the Olympic Games. Olsen, Rickardson, Hellner, Nelson, they took the win. Big surprise. And it wasn't the weather, it was more to do with the fact that Sweden had cracked what sort of skis to use and the Norwegians hadn't.
Well, that's right. On their last leg, they had a 55-second lead, and then, of course, Ankerman backed off. They won by 32 seconds. It looked like a complete runaway victory. It was from the first leg onwards.
So after some good work from Menifikar, he finds himself out the back again as Halvarsson comes down into the stadium. Sweden with Norway right on the heels. The fans will be loving this. There's actually many more Swedish fans than I was expecting. We always know that the Norwegians turn up in the tens of thousands, but there's a lot of Swedish flags out there as well.
Halvarsson realising, he knows, they all know how the athletes around him, how their skis are reacting or gliding in comparison to theirs, so he knew that Sundby would be on his tail. Larkov, he's got great grip, but he doesn't have a very good glide.
Bezmertnik, suddenly, there's a gap of some 7-8 metres between third and fourth. Niskanen has clocked it, Halvarsson has clocked it, Sundby will know as well, and I think the pressure may stay on from here until the end of the second leg. They're coming up to the end of the second lap, one still to go.
Yes, Bezmertnik, you know he's on form, so no matter what happens in terms of pace, he's going to live with it. You just feel that he will. And I expect this pace, maybe from Niskanen, is going to explode in this final lap.
A little bit of a problem with the strap, I think, on the pole of Menifikar, and suddenly it looks as though his heart has run out. Is he looking at Sundby saying, get off my tail, get off the back of my skis? I think actually he's trying to suss where the rest of the teams are.
I think he is, but wouldn't you love to be in the slipstream there of the giant Halvarsson at Sundby? There's no headwind there. The 26-kilometre-an-hour headwind is but nothing when you're behind Halvarsson.
No one wants to lead. The constant changing of track from Sundby is an invitation to the others to take the lead, take the pressure. No one is interested. And that, again, is another chance for France and Germany to make contact with that leading group of four. This one is going all the way. The 4x10 almost at the halfway stage. Four teams in the chase for the medals here at the moment. France and Germany, they make contact and then the pace picks up and they lose it. I think it's inevitable that at some stage they're going to find themselves too far off this leading group of four. Iivo Niskanen of Finland, the leader, he put in a concerted effort while we were on the break, and that could be decisive if he can keep the pressure on, but he hasn't shaken Sweden, Norway or Russia. Oscar Svensson of Sweden, sorry Mike, he took the first leg for Sweden, and we're about to hear from him. Hopefully we'll hear something about the condition of the tracks. Here he is.
They're really strong, so I think it will be a good day.
What's your expectations for the rest of the day?
I think I have a good team, so yeah, we will fight for the medal.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Let's go.
Should he have said we'll fight for gold?
We'll fight for medals. I think he should have said we'll fight for gold, but right now it's looking... and this has been Halvarsson's problem at these championships. Yes, he's slipping badly now. The grip is gone. We saw him having to run the Klæbo Klopp up the steep hill because his wax isn't great.
Well, they're at the top of the first significant climb on this course. So he's got one more climb, one significant climb to come, and then that little climb as they come into the stadium to double back to the exchange. But if he loses more than 15 seconds, that medal may be out the window. Jens Burman's going to have a lot of work to do, and he's got Finland to thank for that, because Niskanen is the man who's turned on the pressure. Sundby in second. Besmertnik, Mike, as soon as the questions were asked, he answered them emphatically by nipping in behind Sundby. He's probably whispering to the Norwegians. I should think there's a bit of sledging going on out there.
Maybe Halvarsson, it's unlikely he can close this gap now. If he can, his glide is great. He could... oh, he's coming back a little, but on the steep hills, that's where he will lose it. And that turn of pace from Niskanen has got rid of the rest. France now 19 behind. Just seen that Magnificat has been given a verbal warning as well for technique violation.
Yeah, that was a punishing pace that Niskanen set. For what? It was about 500-600 metres. He kept it up. He settled into a steadier pace now. I should think his lactic was going through the roof. But you can see the damage done. And instead of having 4 fighting for 3 medals, we now have 3, essentially, unless Halvarsson can find something extra special. You really do hope that he does something, Mike, because every championships he goes home under a cloud of disappointment.
He mostly does. And but with Jens Burman next, only one race here. That was the 15-kilometer, 11th position. You know, they have a strong third leg, the Swedish team, but he needs to remain in contact. And I think that's why Sundby was happy to keep the pace strong, just to burn off the weaker teams, to take them out of the medal option. France, 18.7 now.
Yeah, Magnificat now can sense the Swedes ahead, so France could get themselves up in a 4th, but they're not interested in 4th. They want to be back on the podium, and they've done so well in recent years. 3rd in Sochi, 3rd in Falun. They missed the podium in Lahti 2 years ago, but they got the bronze medal in Pyeongchang, as we've mentioned.
Halvarsson, it's a world of pain now. He just needs to try and survive. There's only, what, 1.5 kilometre left, and the terrain is easy apart from the 45-second climb.
How do you think Jens Burman's feeling watching this on the big screen in the stadium?
He's going to be feeling nervous, and interesting with Sjur Rota, he wasn't nervous on the way to the venue, but he said as soon as he sees the people and realizes the size of this moment, he wants to become nervous. It's a good condition prior to your start.
Rota and Bolshinov taking the 3rd legs for Norway and Russia. They will keep a steady pace, but Matti Häkkinen, who goes from Finland, Mike, I think, you know, Finland will have said, okay, we want bronze today at least. They won't want the work that Niskanen has put in to go to waste. So I think they will ensure that it's a pretty high pace all the way through the 3rd leg.
I think so, and I think Häkkinen could well live with Bolshinov and Sjur Rota.
Such efficient technique from Niskanen, but on the far side it's Sundby who's still getting a little bit of glide out of the ski despite the gradient that they're having to go up. They break to the left at the top of this one, and this may well be the point of the course that the relay is decided. Halvarsson of Sweden, he's now 50 metres back on a steep uphill. When he turns around to come down into the stadium, the leaders will be out of sight and round the corner, and Sundby could be the first man down. No significant breaks. I think these 3 are going to come through the handover within a couple of seconds of each other. Still, the cat and mouse goes on. Russia, Finland and Norway, the leading 3 teams. Besmertnik going wide, looking for some slightly cleaner snow. It's not a bad route to take. That's the sort of line that Klæbo took in the sprints.
Klæbo has it. Oh, look at this. The candle has burnt right down. Halvarsson, once you hit that wall, and that's what's happened every single race with Halvarsson. He can live the first 3 quarters, and he seems to really drop off the last quarter.
Yeah, I think he's hoping they adopt the 7.5 route, 4x7.5 relays, which I think would be just as good a race, but never mind. The crowd get a lot of value for money today. The women's relay won in just 55 minutes. The Olympic men's relay won in 1:33.04. An hour and a half of tension if your team has a chance. Here goes Sundby again. He's going to double pole this one all the way to the top. dropping that body weight down through the pole. Look at the flexion in the hip and the knees, and then just a few two-phase strides to reach the top and break to his left to come back down for the exchange.
I think mission accomplished if you're Sundby and Team Norway. They just wanted to reduce the numbers into those 3 medals. They've done that, and they're at the front. Sweden a long way back now.
Rutte, Bolsjunov, Heikkinen, the 3 men who will take it out on the 3rd leg, and Bolsjunov is going to have, what, 5-6 meters to catch up on the Norwegians. Another great job done by Martin Jonsrud Sundby. What a championships it's been for him. He got 3rd in the skiathlon, he got gold in the 15k, and he's certainly put Norway in a position to take another medal in the 4x10. But Norway, with 9 successive world titles to their name, want to put that into double figures today to increase their record. But the job is far from done with Finland and Russia right on their tail.
You just feel a little, Patrick, that sure, Rutte will want to lead this, so the pace I expect initially will slow down and might give a slim chance of Sweden getting back into this one. Halfarsson absolutely spent.
Jens Berman, 27 seconds to make up. That is a big margin, and France could well get on Sweden's case pretty soon, because they've now got Clément Paris, who had a fabulous run out in the skiathlon early on in the championships. He finished 5th. The skis didn't help, but I don't think the stamina did either.
The skis didn't help. He survived it. We saw him running up the steep climb the first 2 times up them, but then he absolutely burnt out leading into the final time. So the pace is slow as expected. Sure, Rutte, well, he won't want to lead long, and he knows the guy right behind him, Bolsjunov, will take the lead at some point.
Well, the first 2 legs, Mike, the time for the first 2 legs. That second leg, I think, 26.06.
Yeah, so it was leading up to very similar, actually. That second leg was a little faster. The first leg, I think, was 27.15.
Yeah, just over 52.5 minutes for completion of the first 2. And the skating legs will be a fraction faster, 10% maybe quicker. So we're still looking for a winning time between 1:30 and 1:35. Obviously, the tactics will determine how it works out. Rutte, gold in the skiathlon. What a great gold that was. He comes from Voss, which is just in from Bergen, I think it is.
It is.
Beautiful area.
Yeah, been there, spent a few months training there with a coach from Voss, and they're pretty tough farmers from that region. They're a lovely little town, lovely mountains. And yeah, generally, farming background, let's say they're all tough. And he is sure Rutte. Erik Valfoss, of course, from Voss, the Olympic champion a long time ago in biathlon. There he goes. Now, had enough at the front.
And Bolsjunov, who doesn't like leading, but
he seems to love leading.
Well, he doesn't like to turn it over. They're going to have to step it up, because Sweden are getting back into this one, and that will be a concern for Finland. Jens Berman's done good work, but a 30-second gap closed over the first, 1.2 kilometers. He's got to have his pulse rate up at 2:10 already.
That's incredible. I admire him for the man from Asana doing that, Berman, but he knew he had to try and close this down, and I think he anticipated that the pace would be slow until things settle.
Look at that, 20 seconds clawed back by Sweden. That's great in terms of their medal chances, and of course it means that France are now struggling, because there's a bigger gap between 4 and 5. Bolsjunov in front. I think the scriptwriters probably had that down, and he'll stay there for the majority. But surely, Mike, are Russia really saying Ustiakov is going to pace Klæbo, or do they want Bolsjunov to give Ustiakov 15 seconds?
I really think that they must want Bolsjunov to make a gap, to create some kind of separation, because if Klæbo is not in the slipstream of Ustiakov, then the chances are much better to Russia. They know that. But as soon as Klæbo is tucked in behind Ustiakov doesn't really have much chance when it comes to the finish.
The Americans get to see the leading group disappearing on their left. Last we saw from the USA, they were How far behind at the exchange?
Second exchange, 108 behind.
108 behind. That is only going to grow as this race comes to its climax. We've got one whole leg, and we still have some 7 kilometers to go on this second leg. Powerful skating strides. Suddenly Jens Berman, his presence has been sensed, and Bolshunov is starting to wind it up.
That's so sad when you've put in such a pace as Berman has from the handover to close back almost all of it. Then Bolshunov picks it up to what you would expect is normal race pace. It's a tough time now for Sweden.
Good discipline, though, from Bolshunov, Mike. It's very easy at the top of the climb just to go down in the tuck and just enjoy the downhill. But if you can accelerate to maximum speed before it starts to drop away, you can gain some easy meters.
Very much so. But I'm just thinking every cyclist and every runner, or every cyclist especially, knows that traveling at an average of 25 or 27, 28 kilometers an hour on average, it's not an advantage to be at the front. Bolshunov knows that now. Ah, there you are. So he's moving wide, and he needs some pace sharing out there. He doesn't want to do what he did in the skiathlon, lead for 3 laps, and just dragging all the others to the gold medal. So he's wised up on that one.
How long can Heikkinen stay with it?
But the pace will slow down, Patrick. As soon as Bolshunov is not at the front, you expect the pace will back off, and it has already.
Yeah, Sörota just easing up, and Bolshunov in third will lose patience soon enough. Maybe not on this first lap. Finland, I think they'll be secretly delighted with the way things are going. Maki Heikkinen obviously on leg 3. Perttu Hivarinen, Mike, how do you rate his chances of staying with the pace on that final lap?
Only 2 races, Patrick, in his legs, and his skiathlon was good. He finished 23rd, so the combination of classic and freestyle, yes, it's not at the very, very sharp end, but this 10 kilometers different. When you're in the slipstream and it's a much shorter race, athletes tend to really raise their game in the slipstream, that is.
Finland are back in it for now, but they still have just over 2 laps to go on this third leg, and Sweden could just do with closing that gap by another 20 meters or so. Bolshunov must kick up a bit of a slipstream, so I would imagine by the time they come in front of the tribune, we will see the leading 4 teams together. And France have got a lot closer as well, Mike. They were 34 behind.
It's closing down. I'm just thinking everybody in Sweden who's watching this, and there could be 7 million, who knows, there's not many in the country, but they'll be thinking if only Berman can make contact, get in the slipstream, then they have a much, much better chance. He's still detached by 50 meters.
Well, they're flying through the stadium just in front of the commentary boxes, and it's not a lot slower than we saw in the sprint races early on in these championships. So the pace is high, and well done to Jens Berman for getting back in contact. Now he's got to hope that with Bolshunov at the front, it just eases up a little. Doesn't Sörota in second look so smooth on his skis?
Certainly, the experts in technique over many years have said he is the man to watch. Yes, he's very slender and he's not very tall, but his technique is impeccable. His balance is so easy, so beautiful.
And I tell you who else has improved their skating this year is Ivo Niskanen, because he's become a real contender in the skiathlons.
He has. I mean, and take that fall, mentioned it earlier, he fell, lost 12 seconds when he was picking up his drink, took him out of the sharp end of the race, and he was 12 seconds off gold medal.
So the leading 4 teams through the stadium, 2 laps to go on this third leg. Russia, Norway, Finland, Sweden, the big names are all there. Well, let's have a chat with some of the team helpers, see what the chances are for the Norwegians.
Right now, Emil, it's a 4-horse race for the title. Is this going as you expected?
Yeah, it's it does. It's tight, and it's going to be tight to a finish line, I think. So, but maybe Sjur is in really good shape, and he believes really in himself these days. So maybe he tries something on the last lap. But for sure, we have the best sprinter in the world with Johannes. So if it's get to a duel in the last 100 meters, I feel pretty safe in Johannes, but it's going to be really hard. The Russians are strong, so they're probably going to test us sometimes.
Will you try to get rid of the Russian now? Is that the tactics for the third stage?
Oh, maybe. For sure he will race as fast as he can, so but he won't do anything before the last lap, I think.
Thank you so much, Evan.
So, useful information from Emil Iversen there, who took the first leg for Norway. He has raced in every single race so far at these championships. And Sørøt on the left of your picture, just drawing alongside Bolsjunov. I think he's right, Mike. He won't go until the last lap. But if he can give Klæbo 15 seconds, we've seen a number of races over the last 2 seasons where Klæbo starts 15 seconds ahead of Ustiakov. He takes it easy, and as soon as the Russian comes past him, he latches on like a magnet, and he stays there until the last 150.
Do you know that? And when Iversen was talking that potential strategy through, no matter, even if it's 30, you just feel that Klæbo won't want to lead up front. He maybe run away with 30, so I think you need 25 or 30. Otherwise, you just slow down, let Ustiakov or the others catch up, and then just play the sprint finish.
Rutte, of course, has done the skiathlon, 30 kilometers. He's done the 15K as well. Bolsjunov, like Iversen, has done all 4 races so far. So you would expect there's a little bit of fatigue in Bolsjunov's body, and he's a much heavier man, Mike, the man in second. And in these soft conditions, lightweight pays off.
Lightweight does, and I'm not saying Iversen let the strategy or the plan out there, but you felt all along this is so easy for Sørøt. You feel that he has the energy. His gold medal here already. It shows he's got the form. He could break away. Yeah. He knows that Bolsjunov is tired.
Berman's starting to suffer.
If he could only have just closed that gap totally, life would be easier.
France have got so close. Clément Paris over 35 seconds behind at the exchange, and he's got himself within, what, 35 meters of 4th place, and suddenly the gap between 3 and 4 is growing again, and that is because Sørøt of Norway has upped the pace. 24.5 kilometers completed, another 5.5 on this 3rd leg, and then we are down to crunch time. Klæbo versus Ustiakov, the same battle as we saw in the sprint at the start of the championships. It's going to be an absolute cracker.
Spicy, it's going to be very much so.
Well, we'll take a quick break. Do stay with us. We'll be back in Seefeld in just a couple of minutes. The tension is brewing nicely here in Seefeld. There are the 3 leading teams, and the pace is high. Bolsjunov, Rutte, and for Finland we have Matti Häkkinen, who's shown no real signs of weakness so far. Finland haven't had success for a long time, Mike. 76, as we mentioned, their last victory, but they do generally get on the podium 50% of the time. This could be one of those 2.
It's looking, every meter along the track is looking better and better, and anchor leg is no weak leg. Of course, Vernon has had a 23rd in the skiathlon. He lost a little bit of time classic, came back freestyle, so I think Finland will be feeling quite confident right now. Häkkinen has to live with this, and you just feel, Patrick, the pace is going to pick up. It has picked up, but you just feel it's going to open up full pace fairly soon. If Bolsjunov is not tired, I know he's superhuman, but he's done a lot of racing here. Only one of 2 athletes to have taken part in all the races so far. But look at Paris. Every time the pace drops a little, France is coming very much back into it.
It looks like Rutte is having a good race behind both.
Yeah, it's rather like a badly operated yo-yo. Gets close to the top and then just falls away again. A painful process for the French. And of course, with Richard Jouve on the last leg, it'll be interesting to see what he can do, the 24-year-old. Incidentally, the Norwegians and the Finnish, the 2 oldest teams in terms of average age. Russia, they're pretty young, average age of 26. Bezmertnik, who's already gone, was the oldest at 32, and Bolsjunov, the youngest, at 22. And he is the man that has Russia's responsibility at the moment. France and Sweden still painfully close to that leading group.
Now, here's a question for you. Very rare that we see a shared gold medal in this race. We have seen it once. And I'm sure you'll know exactly when, the date, the stadium, and the personnel involved.
Well, I'm going to the Holmenkollen Stadium.
Exactly.
I'm going to the very, very early days of my skiing experience, and yours.
Yeah, absolutely.
are we going 82?
Certainly are.
82. Oddvar Bra will have been one of them.
He certainly was.
And I thought the Russian was a drink, but I don't think it was a Smirnoff. It was something similar.
It was similar. It's Zavialov.
Zavialov, that's it.
And
Yeah, what a race.
it was an incredible finish because Oddvar Bra, his ski pole snapped at 200 to go, and a photographer ran out, gave a really lopsided spare ski pole, and they crossed the line together.
Well, for throwing me in the deep end, who were the teams who shared third and fourth?
On that day?
On that day.
On that same day?
On that same day, same race.
I only watched the top end of it. That's what inspired me to get into cross-country skiing, watching that race. I thought, this is an amazing sport.
Yeah, it's on YouTube. It's well worth looking at.
Well, I'd totally forgotten that one. Go on, enlighten.
I can't answer you. I just know it was a draw for third and fourth as well. Finland, I think, were there, and I'll put Sweden down as a guess. But at the moment, it's all Russia, Norway, Finland. 0.7 separating the leading three teams. 1 lap to go on this third and crucial leg. Will any team steal an advantage before the last 10k leg? And I tell you who's going to be the most nervous man in the stadium. It has to be Johannes Husfeldt Klæbo, who takes the ankle leg for Norway. I think Ustiakov will be relishing this situation.
I think he will. I really do. But what's going to happen? I mean, you've still got so many teams involved now with Paris coming back in contact. That's been a phenomenal performance from Paris to take this back to the front, and Jens Burman still in no man's land, suffering madly after that 27-second catch-up. So this will be a tough lap for Jens Burman. Ustiakov, he doesn't know strategy. Maybe he should move over if he wants to set himself up for a sprint later, but I think that sprint is going to come from Sure Rota very soon to try and break everybody at the front.
East Germany and Finland was the answer to that last question. Just
well done.
Before you get your emails in. East Germany and Finland, yeah, those were great days. And the Holmenkollen Stadium absolutely packed on that occasion. I think we're going to hear just as much noise from the Seefeld Stadium, Mike, because this is brewing up nicely. And suddenly with France back in contact, and France with Richard Jouve have a very, very good ankle leg.
They have indeed. I'm just wondering now, Paris, can he hold the pain? It's going to pick up. Let's see his facial expressions. What a performance so far. Great effort.
I would put my money on Jouve over Hivarinen of Finland. Certainly it's going to be an interesting battle.
That will be a very, very... Oh, look at this. Sweden. He tried, he did everything right. He had to make contact. He never really quite made contact, and now he's going to lose. A little bit like Hofvassen. He'll lose a lot of time this last lap.
Well, apologies for the noise of the drone. They're getting some great pictures, and sometimes give you a better perspective of where the athletes are actually lying. The gaps, which are often foreshortened when you have that head-on shot. Russia leading at the moment. The Rötter looking comfortable. Hanging in for Finland is Matti Häkkinen. He hasn't offered to do any work so far. Is he going to spring a surprise on this third leg?
Let's have a look at him. I think he's just going for survival, stay with the medals at the moment. And look at this pace is doing to Clement Paris. He's worked so hard, the man from Majev, and look at him. He just needed to touch a little longer, get some recovery after that incredible turn of pace. Now he may drop back a long way.
Yeah, when you're in a group of three, you don't want anyone to join you. You want to be guaranteed a medal so you can then think of the tactics.
There goes China.
Yeah, China pulled out. Once you're lapped, you're out of the game. I'd be surprised if we have more than 11 teams actually finishing this one with a 3.3 kilometre loop. Paris of France so close, but that gap once again is starting to extend, and Sweden might get a look in. Well, it's coming to crunch time, Mike. They've reached the top of the penultimate big climb. We've got the one just on the right-hand side of the stadium to come. It looks as though if Rötter or Bolshunov are going to make a break, that's their only opportunity now.
Well, it looks like it's the final play on the chessboard is going to be the two giants, Klæbo and Ustiakov, but the pace, I'm convinced the pace, maybe there could be a separation of 10 or 15 seconds if this pace does change, even though we're running out of time to the exchange. But the last leg coming up very soon.
Well, I think the Finnish fans who've turned up to watch, and most of them are at the top of the very final climb before they descend into either the exchange or the finish. I think they'll be delighted with the way things are going. By the end of the third leg in Lahti in 2017, they were down in, what, 6th position? They were already a minute 46 off the pace. This is a much better scenario for them.
It is, and Heikkinen, I think they haven't over-raced him. They've given him one race. It was the skiathlon. He showed his top 12 capacity, and that's good form when you're top 12 or 12th position at a World Champs.
From 6 seconds, how far back are the French now? It looks more like 16 for Jouve. He's had a good crack at it. He's kept a high pace all the way through. In fact, Clément Paris it is for France. Jouve is the man ready to go in the stadium. And here we go, along the flats before they work their way round to the right and up the hill that you can see in the background.
And it just shows what extreme pace change does. Paris, he pulled it back quickly, 35 seconds. He made contact, and they just kept kind of going. Well, they picked the pace up slightly, but it all catches up with you with that incredible pace change.
Now, Bolshunov has been prepared to lead again. And at the end of the race, Mike, certainly at the end of the skiathlon, he was fairly critical of the Norwegians who just sat in behind him. So why has he done all the leading?
I don't know. We'd have to. It doesn't make sense, but I mean, he is strong. Bolshunov makes it look easy, but it's still a burning pace.
The elastic between Norway and Finland is being stretched to the limit. Heikkinen trying to hang on in there. If Bolshunov keeps this pace up, then Heikkinen's going to have real problems getting back into the slipstream of Norway as they come down through the stadium. They're wanting gold, the Finns, but you know, it just doesn't seem as though that's going to be a possibility.
Well, they've played the cards from strong to stronger, and strong third card. Their weakest card is the last leg for Finland.
Is Bolshunov going to come to a grinding halt?
No,
it doesn't really make any difference. They might as well use that little gap that they've got over Finland.
You just, sure, Rota, he may try to get a few seconds in a sprint, but it's for nothing because Klæbo and Ustjugov will be side by side. They've had a few rough journeys together, and Oberstdorf, the pursuit competition during the Tour de Ski, this man didn't want to take any of the lead pace on.
Wow. At 22, would you really want this responsibility? I don't think so. But if there's one man who's got used to taking the weight of a nation on his shoulders and pulling off the tricks, it is Johannes Husfeldt Klæbo. I think he's now very, very glad that he pulled out of the 15, Mike, to save his legs for the relay. But don't forget that Ustjugov is pretty lightly raced as well.
He's very lightly raced. Although he finished the sprint races, he was disqualified mainly for his behaviour, unsportsmanship behaviour, so he was disqualified.
5 seconds would be pretty handy for Ustjugov at the start of the final leg, but it doesn't look as though he's going to get it. Röthe not interested, doesn't see the advantage. He wants Klæbo to head out of the stadium in second place, and that is what Johannes Husfeldt wants as well.
Very much, but look what Bolshunov has done. He's handed his team, Ustjugov, the opportunity now of one of 2 medals instead of one of 3, and relentlessly he's burnt everybody else off except the Norwegian Sjur Røthe.
30 kilometers covered, and at no stage of this race have Russia or Norway been them more than 5 meters apart. They cross the exchange line together, and it's Ustjugov who will lead out, and straight into the slipstream goes Johannes Husfeldt Klæbo. Now, the man who's hungriest has to be the Russian, after being knocked out of the sprint in controversial circumstances, and of course missing out on chances of taking the gold medal in the skiathlon.
Yes, it looks like Ustjugov that's his strategy, is to try and burn off Klæbo over the whole 10 kilometers, take the sting out of his final 200.
Now, France aren't out of a chance of taking the medal, Mike. It's only 7 seconds between Finland and France, and Richard Jouve on very good form. I think Havarinen is going to have to produce one of his best ever skis to secure the bronze medal. The gold and silver are going to Russia or Norway. The games have started. We've seen a little burst of speed from Johannes Husvik Klæbo for Norway in the gold bib. Went to the front, slowed it down. Ustiugov nipped out, went in front again to keep the pace nice and honest. I don't think we're going to see those two having a big hug at the end of this one.
Well, definitely not. But you know, when you're leading out front and you've had a bit of edge with somebody, it's every stride is so frustrating because you do know that the person behind you, it's a slightly easier journey. And Ustiugov was going to get frustrated with this.
So Finland and France are fighting it out now for the bronze medal. It looked to me, Mike, as if Hyvarinen wanted a fairly steady first couple of Ks to settle in. He only got a kilometre before France were in contact.
He doesn't really look like he's at the races, or is this his plan, knowing that gold and silver are just a thing of the past? Fighting now for bronze. So has he gone for a strategy, a little bit like Klæbo, just play a game here, make it as simple to win the bronze medal as possible? But he's got a fabulous sprinter in behind him.
But the gap back to Germany and Switzerland is now roughly a minute. Germany were just inside the minute behind, so there's no real danger from the teams behind. And as soon as they go around this corner, Finland will realise that and realise they can just play this whole last leg as tactically as they like. Does Hyvarinen, does he fancy a sprint into the stadium? Richard Jouve may fancy a good hard pace for the last 3.3.
I think he'll try and leave it. He'll survive, try and hold on to the medal, and then you know, he's got such an incredible turn of pace. Jouve as well, a little bit like Klæbo.
So you fancy his chances if they come into the stadium together?
I do. I think it would be if they were on the last 200 together, I think it would go France's way. We'd have to wait and see. Yes, Hyvarinen not used at all in the team sprint or the individual sprint.
Klæbo, he's still running at 65%. This is just what he wants. I think he'll be confident. We saw him in the team sprint, Mike. Left everyone behind. What, 15 metres he gained on the last climb alone, and the climb's only 75 metres. So he'll be confident if it goes all the way to the wire. Ustiugov has to think of another way. I know he's a good sprinter, but I just can't see him doing enough damage to Klæbo if the pace stays like this.
No, and the one thing that Ustiugov knows is that probably, no matter what he tries, Klæbo will not be left behind. I think that's his only chance. Try and snap Klæbo on this journey way out. We've still got, what, 7.5 kilometres and more left. He's going to have to do it the hard way, I think.
But I bet he feels a lot better than he did 2 years ago when Ustiugov took over. He was 17 seconds down on Finn Hagenkro. So through goes Klæbo. He'll get onto the climb.
Slow it down.
He'll try and do a Petter Northug. Ustiugov says, haha, I've seen that trick once or twice before. You're not pulling it now. And they settle down. Ustiugov just eases up, and Klæbo, you know, that's how he looks when he's got the headphones on, listening to some heavy beat, whatever he's into, and you know, he's on a cruise.
They're both, they just need to be careful, the teams behind. It's only a 17-second separation. Teams behind will close them if it remains slow.
What do you think the team orders are?
It's an interesting one. The disadvantage for Ustiugov at the front, he can't see any body language, any facial expressions, and it's going to make him angry again. And we saw what his anger does to him. It doesn't help his race. Klæbo is just going to cope with this pace, try and irritate Ustiugov. He knows that works. Well, I don't mean deliberately try and irritate him, but he'll just go for the safe option. Tuck him behind, that's his best card to play.
The longer this race goes on, the advantage will swing towards Norway because they have the world's best sprinter on this last lap. Surely Ustiugov needs to take the sting out of the sprint finish of Klæbo, but he's not tried to do it so far. Will it be the second lap where he starts to pile on the pressure?
I think that's probably his coaching. Marcus Kramer's advice is, try and break Klæbo on the track. No matter what, you have to get rid of him at some point. Otherwise, it's a silver.
I'm just trying to remember what Devon's podium was for today. Did he have Sweden up there? I think he might have done.
He did, actually. It's Sweden in third. At the moment, they're 106 behind. That's a tough journey for Victor Thorn. I know he's on form, Victor Thorn, but it's a tough journey now for Sweden.
Well, he's got the 1 and 2 right in terms of the teams. It's just a question of order. Norway was Devon's fancy simply because they've won the last 9. They're very clever. They know they put a fantastic sprinter on the leg. Slightly ironic, Mike, that they put one of the worst sprinters on the women's tour on the last leg of the 4x5.
Incredible. Yes, the fastest woman alive over distance, without a doubt, but without a sting in her tail for the final 100 meters. In this race, the anchor men have to be fast twitch fiber to sprint for the line. You know what, maybe the further we go along this race, maybe we will see something we haven't seen for 38 years or so, back in Holmen Kollen 2002.
Good use of the slipstream.
Sorry, 1982.
Klæbo, 6.68 kilometers to go. It's Norway and Russia still less than half a second apart. How will this play out? Well, you're going to have to stay with us for, another 20 minutes or so before we find out. It will be less than that.
But another 18, 19 minutes.
18, 19 minutes, maybe not even that. The speed they cover the ground, roughly 2.5 minutes per kilometre in the freestyle technique for the world's best. Finland, France, what a battle they're going to have for the bronze medal.
This is an interesting battle for that bronze medal, and at the moment, I think it's looking slightly stronger for France.
Well, here's a reminder of what happened after the semi-final of the sprint. Both men posturing. Certainly Ustiugov on the right, more aggressive than Klæbo. We still can't agree who was in the right, who was in the wrong, Mike. But that sort of behaviour was unnecessary, but actually not bad for the sport. There were no punches thrown. Ustiugov said he wanted to, but he controlled himself just.
I mean, Ustiugov was in the wrong there, but earlier in the track, and I was surprised how many coaches and fans thought the same as I did initially, that the door was wide open for Ustiugov to go through. It's a sprint race. He had a lot of space, but the cones later narrowed up, and it was maybe a gap too small, but when he went for the gap, it was an open door.
But he needed to be through the gap before he got to the cones, and that was not the case. Actually, the aerial shot is the one that, gives us the best impression of what actually happened. So we'll just agree to disagree disagree on that one.
No, and then later on, Ustiugov was absolutely out of order. And I thought Klæbo did very well. His coaches did well to take him away from that stressful scenario and get him to prepare for the final.
Absolutely, absolutely. We've all been in scrapes where you suddenly feel very, very weak, slightly sort of hypoglycemic after that rush of adrenaline.
Yeah.
So for Klæbo to get himself in shape for the final and produce the best sprinting performance that we've seen from him this season.
Yeah, I was just thinking of situations. I once got it was just a mass start in biathlon, it was a World Cup, but I got the most horrific whack across my quad from the athlete behind. I did maybe chop him up a little bit. In those days, it was fine. And my leg was in absolute agony. His ski pole as hard as he could on my leg. And obviously straight after the race, we talked about it. And it doesn't have to get you angry. You think, that should not be happening in a race scenario. Look at this. It looks easy, but it's still quite fast.
Yeah, the fact that Finland and France aren't making any progress, I wonder whether Finland and France are now thinking, well, we should have put the pressure on because we'd be up with the two leaders. But I think they know that as soon as they get within 20 metres of Ustiugov and Klæbo, the games will stop and they'll put in another serious bid for the gold and silver medal.
But, the pace there for bronze medal, it's very slow, and Sweden is coming back into the action a little. They're 38 seconds off.
5.5 kilometres to go. My feeling, Mike, is that Ustiugov has to use the last big climb on this second lap to make his move. If he leaves it to that stage, Klæbo is just going to say, OK, one sprint race to go. And he's done so many. He can psych himself up for 1,500 metres of pain.
He absolutely can. And no matter, I think you just feel, no matter what Ustiugov is going to throw at him, whatever pace changes, he'll be there and he can outsprint anybody.
Well, the body language tells me that Richard Jouve of France is a whole lot more comfortable than Perttu Hyvarinen of Finland.
Hyvarinen is struggling. You can see his expressions, his movement on the skis. He just needs some support. I'm surprised he's not saying to Jouve, go ahead of me, pal, just give me some support up here, because Sweden will pick up on this, and that'll absolutely inspire Victor Thorn.
Sweden last time we saw 109 behind, and that's still a long way, so they're over 30 seconds behind second and third at the moment, and time is running out to make their move.
Just over 5 kilometers, the last half of their 10 kilometers, and the last small section of the race. 12 and a half minutes to go. 3 big climbs, 3 opportunities to make the break. They've got a little reprieve as they head back down towards the stadium, round to their right, and then they will see the climb. They'll see the tower high above the stadium next to the jump that will be used tomorrow. More Nordic combined tomorrow, incidentally. Norway having success off the jump with Lundby winning the women's title. And I think that puts them on 9 golds, which means that they are level with their most successful championships ever. And they could make that 10 today with the win in the 4x10. But that seems a long way off at the moment. It does. I'm just looking back at some of the old World Championships. Go back to 2013 was a very close finish. 2017 it was what, 17-18 seconds. Then Falun it was 16 seconds, but in 2013 Val di Fiemme 1.2 seconds separating Norway and Sweden, 2.4 seconds then back to Russia, so a very tight finish there.
Well, this is where I thought Ustiugov might do something, but actually skiing very, very close. There's certainly a danger this close that one of them is going to ski over the other's ski.
Well, the King's enjoying it, King Harald.
I wonder whether he gave a little pep talk to the Norwegian team before this one.
Be brave, stay with it, lads. You just feel a little that Klæbo was, well, you know, he's out of breath, of course he is. You just feel he's tired, and if there was a turn of pace now from Ustiugov, he may well have a small chance of getting rid of him.
Well, I've always thought that the lower jaw, the more tired you are. Both men have their mouths open. Sundby is the best marker of that, and certainly the pace for the bronze medal. There's no pace in this race at all. Jouve's starting to rock and roll quite a lot, Mike, but he did on the last lap as well, so I'm just wondering whether that's his particular sort of cruising style.
Maybe it is. Now the next time round, this part is crucial. Ustiugov is getting angry, like that big angry bear that he is, but he's still leading.
Well, it doesn't really matter on this one. They've just got to make sure they keep that 15 to 20 second gap between themselves and the bronze medal position. Look at it's getting tough on this downhill.
Look at the best balanced cross-country skier ever for me is Klæbo, and the way he can reach out in terrain like this, he can just take 2 or 3 strides and open up, well, as he has done there, open up a massive gain. Here, now he knows that the next time round, I'll stick with that plan. It's mine.
Yeah, the race line was perfect. He's got to be a little careful going so close to the boardings on the side. Is this a little burst? If he can get 20 meters before the start of the climb, Mike, Ustiugov is going to have to turn it up to close it down, and that won't help the Russians' chances in the closing stages.
There's no way Klæbo's going to go from here with 1 lap to go.
Do you think he's miscounted the laps?
No, he's just playing games with the mind of Ustiugov, and you know, he had an advantage there on the glide. Ustiugov maybe is a spent force. And this is, go on, Klæbo, go for it now.
Well, this is not the finish that we wanted. It's not the finish that the crowd wanted, but Johannes Klæbo has taken his chance, and he's opened up a gap of 40 metres over Ustiugov, who's done all the leading over the first 6 kilometres. It's a familiar scenario. The Russians just don't know how to race tactically. Yes, they dig deeper than anyone else, but if you stick in behind and rest at 26, 27 kilometres an hour, you do 1.5, maybe even 2% less work than the man in front.
Incredible. Klæbo, I'm not sure he's going to run to the line from here, but Ustiugov, having led for 2 of the 3 laps, he's a little more fatigued. It's such a pity. It's not going to be maybe the finish we thought it would be.
And even more angry than he was last week.
Yeah, you don't want to annoy him now.
Well, if Ustiugov doesn't keep his foot on the gas, we might see a battle for the silver medal with Finland and France, who certainly pick up on the gap, but it's a big margin, 32 seconds between them.
It is a big margin. And, you know, Ustiugov must be annoyed his skis were not running. I know that Klæbo had a better line behind him, but his skis weren't running well.
Well, there was I saying it doesn't matter who leads down the hill on the penultimate time, but my goodness, Klæbo took his chance, and look at the gap now. He has blown this apart. Off come the goggles, off come the hat. Some serious business he's got to take care of now to secure this victory, and this might sort of indicates the benefits of sitting out the 15K.
Very much. Fresh legs. He's had a success, 3 races, 2 golds, and of course he cruised the skiathlon when he realised he wasn't there at all. He did with Iversen, and Iversen, I think, today has done very well. He had to just keep them up there at the front. He did the task proud.
How good did Klæbo feel with that little glance over his right shoulder to see that 75-metre gap between himself and Ustiugov. The Russians look beaten at the moment, and Norway on their way perhaps to their 10th successive world title in the men's 4x10, making amends for missing out on the gold medal yesterday. Sundby there in your picture.
They can't believe it.
He's getting another gold, it seems.
They can't believe it's happened so far out. Ustiugov a spent force. He won't be caught by, well, 3rd and 4th on the track. Do they know that he's in a world of pain? Do they know that Ustiugov is suffering out there?
He's a great athlete, Mike, but he's not on the form that we saw from him in 2017 when he was 2nd in the overall standings. He won the Tour de Ski in emphatic style, and he was always a danger to the Norwegians, but he's not been on that form this year, only lying 6th in the World Cup standings.
Not at all. This is interesting. In every scenario that would have kept Klæbo awake last night, and I know he doesn't sleep well before a big race like this, he would not have dreamt of this scenario so early, that he'd have a lead, and he's going to have to deal with this, but it's 20 seconds. It's an eternity.
20 seconds. I just got the feeling that Klæbo was easing up.
Well, I think he was. I think he's not used to leading.
He's the sort of man who loves a sprint finish, and I think he realises he's slightly blown that scenario apart. Now, it was just over 18 seconds. Let's see if Ustiugov is coming back. 10, another look over the shoulder. He knows that Ustiugov is still dangerous.
Oh, it's look at the time, though. Even the strong man that Ustiugov is, no, he's not at the races today.
Another 4 seconds has gone.
We've got it, boys.
Iversen, what a championships.
Look who's coming behind, and this is going to give Finland and France some spirit.
Each of the Norwegians about to get another gold medal, it seems. Klæbo will become the most successful man at these championships, as he was in the Pyeongchang Games, getting 3 golds out in Korea last year. He will move on to 3 golds from 4 races. He eased up in the skiathlon, realising that he wasn't going to be able to live with the pace, and he certainly couldn't live with the pace that Andrew Musgrave set.
No, and thinking, Muzzy was fantastic, but thinking of Ustiugov in the skiathlon, he wasn't at the races, he had no form, and incredibly, just the strength that he has, he got back to, I think it was 12th position. Just to confirm that, ninth position.
So why put Ustiugov on the last leg and not Bolshunov?
I think they would have thought, well, he is the ultimate sprinter in our team when it comes to the final 300, but they'd hoped that his form had come back, having sat him out of the 15-kilometer classic.
Fair point.
Yeah, I would imagine, but it's not working.
Now, Finland and France were 40 and 41 seconds behind last time. Ustiugov is now over 20 seconds behind, closer to 25. So only 15 seconds between the silver and the bronze medal position. And what a feeling this is.
Unexpected feeling for Klæbo. He did not, I'm quite sure in all the scenarios he played in his mind, he didn't see this one coming.
Do you think we'll see him in the 50?
Nope. We might see him actually, and maybe there's a team, there might be a Norwegian team strategy to take, you know, try and drag him along, try and take him the distance, but I wouldn't think so.
Well, we've had so many exciting races here in the Seefeld Stadium that's a little disappointing to see an easy run-in for the Norwegians, but you have to applaud them. Iversen, Sundby, Røther took the first 3 legs, and then Johannes Husflot Klæbo rising to the occasion once again. This is where the excitement is, and France going into the bronze medal position for the first time in over 40 minutes. And suddenly Richard Jouve decides that this is his moment to inflict some pain on Hyvarinen of Finland, but Hyvarinen is made of greater stuff than that. He'll hang in as long as he can, and they've still got that big climb to come.
Hyvarinen, though, has taken all the work to this stage with what, only a couple of kilometers left. For the first time, he's in a good position. Why has Jouve gone so early? He's an out-and-out sprinter. Maybe feeling a little guilty having taken the drafting, the easier position for most of this one.
For the sport, Mike, we need a bronze medal for France just to increase the number of nations that have actually been on the podium. It's all been about Norway, Sweden, Russia. Of course, Finland have had a medal through Niskanen, but otherwise very few. Slovenia, a brilliant second place in the women's team sprint.
Ah, yes, and the more America we saw, of course, at the Olympics, Jess Diggins, Kiken Randall taking the gold there for the women in the team sprint. But this is a dream come true for Klæbo and for Norway.
If he stays on his feet, he is in business. He's worked hard on this leg. I don't think many thought we'd see him break away. Ustiugov is safe in silver. Jouve just looking up the hill, but he knows he's not going to close down that gap. Only if the Russian should fall, and the state that Ustiugov is in, that might be a possibility.
He's on survival mode, and I think the fact that his skis, it's not just the downhill glide factor where you lose from the athlete ahead. You've got to take those slower skis all around the 10-kilometer track, and we know it's a huge amount of extra effort and work.
Now, Jouve taking the lead before this climb. Do you think he was saving his legs for the sprint? Because of these two, he is the faster finisher.
Yes, and maybe he's lining up for his best approach to the finish. Oh, well, hang on, he'll sit here till Sweden comes. Cup of tea, anybody?
You've got to love it. You've got to love it. And, whoa.
Oh.
Well, this is rather like track cycling.
It is, isn't it?
In the end, Hyvarinen decides that he will have a crack at this.
Well,
I guess he didn't have a choice. They saw the rest coming up the hill. Sweden getting closer and closer.
Now, was that the glasses coming off? Hyvarinen wanting to take everything off, not to get in his way. Well done, Norway.
The celebrations have started. The last time they lost a relay was in Austria, and it was the Austrians that beat them. Today, they make it 10 from 10. That is an astonishing record when so much can go wrong, particularly on the classic legs. No mistake today. Iversen Sundby, brilliant over the first half. Røther looked majestic on leg number 3. And Johannes Husflot Klæbo takes all the glory once again. The golden boy of cross-country skiing.
And well done, Norway. It never comes easy. They have to work for it. They stress over it. They got it absolutely right today.
Russia heading in the home straight now with Ustiugov, some 75 meters to go, but will stay focused on the fight for the bronze medal. Will it be Finland? Will it be France, who have yet to stand on any podium in the cross country?
Well, Ustiugov, he tried. He took 6 kilometers up the front, and he has suffered.
Russia beaten once again by their main rivals. Here we go. Hivarinen of Finland leads down the hill. He knows just how quick Juve is to the finish, and the Frenchman stays low. Some brilliant free skating from Juve, and he's going to take the bronze medal for France. Nothing Finland could do about that. I'm afraid it was inevitable, but well done to France. They hung on in there. They were 15 behind, then they were 35 behind, back to 20, out to 45, and they stayed with it. Backscheider, Magnifica, Paris and Juve taking the bronze medal, and France is first at these championships. 101 the margin. It was a formality for Norway in the end, but it wasn't quite how we saw it finishing.
Not at all. I don't think anybody could have come up with that play on the chessboard. I think Paris is the man who brought the French back into this. He destroyed himself to take them back, to have a chance for that medal. Well done to him, well done to their team.
Sweden back in 5th, which is exactly where they finished in Pyeongchang last year, behind the Finns on that occasion as well. And if you recognise the leaderboard at the moment, all the way down to 6th, exactly as it was in Pyeongchang. Norway, Russia, France on the podium, then Finland, Sweden, Germany in 4, 5 and 6. Nothing much has changed over the last 12 months.
Incredible. And I think I saw a good few little handshakes there between Norway and Russia. That was good to see. I don't know if there was a hug between Ustyugov and Klæbo, but hopefully there will be one day.
Sørøte on the left of your screen, weighing in at, what, 63, 64 kilos. There's not a lot of him. Most of it will be heart and lungs. Sundby the same on the right of your screen. The big man, Iversen, who took the first leg in the middle. Russia must have been dreaming big last night, Mike. Larkov, I was slightly surprised, didn't make an effort to break away from Iversen. Besmertnik, Bolshunov, Ustyugov. On paper, it's an awesome team, but just destroyed by the Norwegian consistency.
Destroyed, and Ustyugov holding his stomach there. Maybe there's been an issue that we don't know, we haven't heard about, but he's holding his stomach at the end. I know there's been a lot of bugs going around Seefeld. Virus, stomach bug.
The pink glasses have gone, but the pink gloves are on for Johannes Husfeldt. For one so young, he has an astonishing record. 3 golds at the Olympics last year. He's just notched up his 3rd gold from these World Championships in Seefeld. He could be a man who breaks all the records come the end of his career.
It was interesting how he was quite timid. Klæbo, the descent down the hill, he had a 40-meter lead, and he didn't know what to do. He didn't know whether to lead.
Here's the sprint finish. Richard Jouve, very good. That's a skill that needs working at, Mike, and you know, with his sprinting, he's perfected it.
He really has, and you know, he's not a distance racer. He had to survive in behind Finland for most of it to unleash that sprint, and it takes a lot of balance to do that technique in these soft conditions.
Wow. Well, great entertainment, although not quite the climax that we wanted. Certainly wasn't as exciting as the end of the women's 4x5, the battle there between Sweden and Norway. So Norway might now, what is that, 8 golds from 10 races at these championships in the cross-country stadium. Incredible. Sweden with 2. Russia haven't been on top of the podium as yet.
I think that's a good performance. We just saw America coming across the line, 4:06 behind. Listen, the margins aren't big at all, and that's with Simeon Hamilton pulling out very late at 10:30 this morning.
Switzerland down in 8th position, so a disappointing performance from them. Nothing like the 4th place we saw from them in Lahti 2 years ago. Italy, so often the team to challenge Norway, but not over the last 5 or 6 years. They haven't been on the podium in the last 5 majors, the Italians.
And De Fabiani finishing there. He's taken 3 punishing races, a little tired today.
So exactly the same podium as Pyeongchang. Norway just as happy as they were out in Korea. What a race. We didn't see much of the chasing teams, Mike, just a reminder, behind France, who are in bronze, Finland 4, Sweden, they'll be disappointed. It all went wrong on the second leg for them in 5, Germany in 6, and Kazakhstan 7 without Polteranin. Well, let's hand over to the studio. Devon and Karsten ready to analyse what we've just seen.
Yeah, and there you just saw the podium for the relay 4 times 10 kilometers here in Seefeld. And, well, you were right for 3.5 stages. This is going to be an epic battle between Norway and Russia. But what on earth happened to Ustjugov on the last leg there, Devon?
It was unbelievable. It was setting up to be one for the ages, a real classic battle, Norway versus Russia, and instead it was an anticlimactic flop. I don't know exactly what happened there. Coming at the end of the second lap, Klæbo had the better line down the hill, and Ustjugov just stopped skiing almost. It was very strange, but hats off to Norway. 10 World Championship golds in a row.
And if you go back 1 year to Pyeongchang, he actually did the same to Dennis Bitso. He didn't take him on the hill. He took him on the flat section.
Yeah,
so
but it's
when
totally different
sets
today.
the pace on the flat section, you should have your best day in your life if you want to follow.
You know what, Karsten, I actually have to disagree with you a little bit. For sure, but for sure in Pyeongchang, it was one thing, but he didn't have to try today. He tried for like 4 seconds, got a tiny gap, and then you saw him constantly looking back like, where's Ustjugov? Is Ustjugov playing me for a fool? No, he isn't. Ustjugov just completely fell apart. So it was really, really strange. I'm just shocked. Last year in Pyeongchang, absolutely on the flats, Klæbo was amazing, but today he barely had to do anything.
But we have to keep in mind that there's a bug going around here in Seefeld, and we can also see when Ustjugov crossed the finish line, he touched his stomach, so maybe something happened.
Oh, for sure. We have no idea. Absolutely. It actually, you don't want to speculate too much, but something must have happened, because Ustjugov is a great champion, and to fall apart like he did there, I'm almost at a loss for words, Karsten. It was really, really strange. But he secured a silver medal, and we should still tip our hats to that. A silver medal at the World Championships isn't nothing. I was so hoping for a big battle, and we didn't see it today.
No, but here's the world champions. And of course, Sjurøt has 2 goals now. Martin Jonsrud Sundby has 2 goals now. Emil Iversen has 2 goals now. And Johannes Høstflot Klæbo, he now has 3 goals as well. He did the same in Pyeongchang last year, sorry, not last night.
Yeah. It might feel like last night for Klæbo, absolutely. I mean, he's just so used to winning. But the Norwegian team at this World Championships on the men's side, Karsten, how many races have they lost?
None.
None. They've won every single men's event this year. And then when we really thought like this could be the one, it was the easiest gold of them all.
Yeah. But we can hear some of the commentators talking about maybe they should have put Bolshunov on the 4th stage and not Ustjugov. Do you agree on that?
I mean, normally,
we have her.
No, exactly.
Hindsight's
Exactly. Hindsight's always 20/20. But I mean, on paper, never. I mean, Ustjugov is an insanely good skater. He is crazy fast. I don't think anybody would have called what happened. Nobody would have called that.
Okay, if you go through the stages, because they felt they were at each other all the way. And are you surprised that the Russian didn't try harder to get rid of Norway during the first stages?
You know what? Here we go. In the first stages here, you see at the first exchange, they all did so well. This is all you need to do. You just got to keep them in contact, and that's what Larkov and Iversen did. They did such a great job. And then here you go, Niskanen. We saw this one coming. One of the best classic skiers in the world, and this is where it all goes south. For my bronze pick, Kalle Halvorsen, come on, buddy. You really let me down here. He just gets so stiff. Wait for it here. Wait for it at the top of the hill at the end of the second leg. Oh my good gracious, Kalle Halvorsen, what in tarnation happened to you here? And this is where it all just fell apart for Sweden. At the second exchange, Finland, Russia, and Norway all together, and Sjurøt, Bolshunov, and Mari Heikkinen all come together. Of course, Bolshunov and Sjurøt are the strongest men in this leg, absolutely. Heikkinen did a really, really great leg, but it was all too much. You see Heikkinen here right at nearing the end of the third leg. No chance to follow the big boys of the Seefeld Championships, and Bolshunov and Sjurøt made quick work of Heikkinen in the last kilometer of their third leg. But as we come into the last exchange, this is where I was shaking in my boots, Karsten. I was so pumped. I'm like, here we go, baby. This is going to be a real classic. And luckily for us, there was another classic. Finland and France were so close to one another as well. So I thought this was just going to be non-stop excitement from the last tag all the way to the finish line, and instead it just kind of fizzled. You see this is coming down the hill, Karsten, coming down for one lap to go, about a lap and 600 meters. Klæbo has the better line, puts in a, what is this, 10-12 second dig. Ustigov stops racing almost completely, and Klæbo from here on in, look, he almost doesn't believe it. He's just skiing up the hill with a huge gap. I've never seen, like, he's not even going hard. I mean, he's looking behind him. He's like, where is Ustigov? This is weirding me out. Where is he? But at the end of the day, 10 World Championship 4x10K relays, 10 gold medals for Norway. You got to tip your hat. He's a legend. The whole Norwegian team this championship's been a legend. And Ustigov crosses the finish line just in agony of defeat. I don't know what happened. We'll have to wait and hear. And then this is just blows my mind. Juve, and then look at this. Juve looks onto the side like, I'm not leading down this hill. Are you crazy? Then he tries to, like, he's like, here, you do it. Oh, no, come on, man. You do it. You do it. Okay. And, of course, Jorvinen does that, and the writing's on the wall. Juve was fourth in the sprint for a reason. He's a tactical genius and crazy fast, and here you go. I mean, he totally undressed the Finn coming down into the last 100 meters and secures the surprise for me bronze medal, even though they've been so good. But with the sickness in the French team, I'm surprised they got the bronze. Hats off.
All right, hats off to France, and also, of course, hats off to Norway. We're here with Eirik Munoz from the coach. I mean, this is a clean sweep for Norway. What I'm
really excited. We discussed so many scenarios before today, but the scenario we got, that one we didn't discuss because we didn't actually believe it. I was looking forward to one hell of a show on the last lap here, and but we had really good skis, and yeah, well, Johannes also had some great legs together with the whole team. So, but today I say chapeau to the waxing guys. They've been great.
Okay, thank you. So we can talk later.
Thanks so much.
Because we have Richard Juve here and the tactical genius.
Congratulations. That was one heck of a last leg. OK, c'était fantastique.
Oh, you take this.
Richard Juve, c'était merveilleux. Félicitations. Dans le 4x10, une autre médaille de bronze. Félicitations. C'était quoi tu pensais sur la montée là-bas, là?
Eh ben, c'est génial. À France, on a encore une belle équipe. On fait le podium. J'étais, pour ma part, super bien pendant toute la course. Donc, c'était un régal de courir.
Richard saying they knew they had a good team. He said it was a fantastic honour to be out there today.
De 7 gars ici, Maurice Magnifica, il avait une fève, puis maintenant il y a une médaille de bronze. Félicitations tous les gars, Bach aussi. Qu'est-ce que tu dis, Maurice?
Ouais, c'était incroyable. Encore un scénario qui joue aussi.
Just saying it's incredible. And just saying the race actually turned out in their favour, with Finland being detached from the leading group. And the relay, because of the illness that they've suffered in the team, they've had to switch the team members around.
Le troisième étape. Quoi penses-tu avec ça?
Je suis parti assez vite pour rentrer.
Devon saying that was a little like war out there with the Finns. Clément Paris saying he had to work so hard to close the gap down, and that, of course, was on the third leg. And he never really lost hope of actually taking a medal.
Merci beaucoup, les gars, et félicitations. Oh, my God, what a pumped crew,
yeah,
Karsten.
I'm so glad you're here, because you speak French. Yeah, I understand that we're happy.
Oh, yeah, they're more than happy. There've been some sickness in the French team. Richard Juve, textbook run in there by the experienced sprinter, secures a bronze medal, and you saw it all over their faces, Karsten. They are stoked.
Because of what happened on the top there, on the top of the hill. You have to feel for the Finn, though, because they knew. If I go first down that hill, I will not make it in past the guy behind me.
Well, you leave yourself quite the hole to dig yourself out of, and this is not the position you want to leave yourself in when you're racing against Richard Juve. Remember, Richard Juve, fourth in the sprint. He has a lot of sprint podiums. He's the faster man, and this is just unbelievable.
And the bronze medal for France, silver for Russia, and for the 10th consecutive time in World Championship history, Norway takes the gold. Now let's go to the flower ceremony.
Well, what fabulous pictures of the French team. That bronze feels very much like a gold. I think everyone in Seefeld had Russia and Norway in the top two positions. It was just a question of which of them was going to take the honours. Mike, yeah, there's a lot of illness going around the hotel we're in. A lot of people are being wiped out.
Oh, no.
It's so unlucky when it happens to a team. We're not absolutely sure if that was the case with the Russians, but it might have been.
It might well have been. And the body language, Ustyugov, he is one tough athlete. He's not here in the lineup. The man is suffering. Clearly there was an issue, whether it was sickness last night, sickness for a couple of days. He just wasn't at the races today. And that gave Norway, who were favourites, I think, anyway, that gave them just an easy run at the end.
Surut having a chat with Clément Paris, no doubt analysing the race themselves, finding out where all the moves were made. Most of the runners, Mike, are too busy to watch it on the big screen. They've got to get the warm-up done, they've got to get the skis ready, obviously they've got to go out in the right kit, remember the race bib. So they don't actually watch the race as closely as we do.
No, they don't. And but I do believe that when the French team saw Clément out there on leg 3, Clément was absolutely on fire. He went out there with one mission, and that was to drag the time, the clock back to certainly haul Sweden back. That was mission accomplished, and get close, drag them further up the track. For me, he was the outstanding athlete today.
Yeah, I think there'll be some celebrations in Megève because they will realise that their man Clément Paris made such a big move. And yes, he didn't overtake the Finns, but he got them back in contact with that bronze medal.
And that's it. That's all you need is one. And then he knew, of course, the missile at the end was not going to let the French team down. Juve has that dynamic finish. Never was going to take on any of the pace. He didn't need to. All he had to focus on was that bronze medal, and he achieved that for France.
And of course, with France getting, the bronze in Sochi, bronze in Falun, bronze in Pyeongchang, they believe themselves as a medalist team. And we've seen it in biathlon this year as well. Their ski speed has gone up.
It has, maturing, and they share training camps. The cross-country team, the biathlon team, they're such a tight-knit group of people and learning off each discipline. Biathlon is just cross-country skiing with a rifle on your back.
Yeah, and Vincent Vitoz, who was probably still the best cross-country skier the French have had, he's now working with the biathlon, but his influence will flow over into the cross-country team as well.
I think it will, yeah. So they've got such a good team spirit. They really share. Oh, here he is. He's had his medicine. He's fine now. Ustyugov, he is the ultimate fighter. He couldn't fight today. He tried, but ran out of energy, ran out of steam. And that was a pity. We expected a grand finale where the sparks would fly. They didn't. But of course, taking nothing away from Norway, they played it so well.
Yeah, Bolshunov, you have to feel a bit for him. 3 silvers at Pyeongchang. He's just got himself his 3rd silver here in Seefeld. He would love to take some of Norway's gold away from them. And just a reminder, the Norwegians have not lost a race in the men's competition here so far in these championships. There's only one to go. It is the whopping 50k on Sunday. Let's hope that Great Britain can take that gold off them.
Go Muzzy, go on Muzzy. He'll be fired up for it.
Ski-Weltmeisterschaften Seefeld 2019, Herrenstaffel, 4x10 Kilometer, Siegerpräsentation.
FIS Nordic World Ski Championship Seefeld Austria 2019, the winner's presentation for the men's 4x10 kilometer relay.
They won't mind the rain. We had a little bit of snow for about 45 minutes before the start of the race, but it's been raining since then.
In 3rd place, the team representing France, Adrien Bachscheider, Maurice Magnifica, Clément Paris, Richard Jouve.
Richard Jouve, the only man who wasn't on the podium in Pyeongchang. Jean-Marc Gaillard took the anchor leg a year ago at the Olympic Games. Jouve, though, perhaps the most critical performance in that quartet today.
2nd place, the team representing the Russian Federation, Andrei Larkov, Alexander Besmertnik, Alexander Bolchunov, Sergei Ustyugov, Russia.
Well, it's nice to see a smile on their face, and particularly nice to see them shaking hands with the Norwegians at the end of the race, Mike. Silver's nothing to be ashamed of, but they desperately wanted this gold above all the others.
They really wanted it, and they thought they'd played their cards right, but it just didn't happen for Ustyugov today.
And World Relay Champions, the team representing Norway, Emil Iversen, Martin Jonsrud Sundby, Sjur Røthe, Johannes Høsflot Klæbo, Norway.
Between them, they have 9 gold medals to take back to Norway. The Customs are going to enjoy that one, but there may be another one on its way. 48 hours to recover before the 50K. I think we'll see a few new names in there. Certainly Simon Kruger, I think, is lined up for the 50.
I'm just thinking, as the flowers are coming, the last big collapse on the last leg of a relay, you have to go all the way back to 2003 when Sweden were leading by a long way, and then a real loss of energy with 1 kilometer to go. They still managed to survive in third, though.
They're going home with something, the French. And the Russians can make a dinner set from all the silver they've taken over the last 10 days. Oberstdorf next time, Mike, in 2 years' time. Can Norway make it 11?
They just look unstoppable when you're on a run, and a team unity and the wax expertise. They've all mentioned how good their skis are running, and that plays such a part. They've got the information, they know how it works. I think they're unstoppable.
And when you've got a good sprinter for the final leg, you always have a chance.
Ladies and gentlemen, to honor the new world champions, the national anthem of Norway.
It's a fantastic performance by Norway. Their success goes on, and they have a chance of more gold tomorrow. The women's 30K, that gets underway at 11 o'clock UK time. There'll be a little bit of Nordic combined before that, the team event for the Nordic combiners, and that is at 9:30 UK time. An early start. Hope to see you then. We'll hand back to the studio. Here are Devon and Carsten.
The 10th gold medal to Norway in these championship here in Seefeld. The 10th. They are the superpower of this of cross-country Nordic combined, and not so much ski jumping, although they have a winner by Marnundby. But the 10th gold here down here.
Yeah,
there are 5 million people.
Yeah, it's been a championship for the ages for Norway. I'm pretty sure the royal family and all the people of Norway are glad to send that royal family down here to Seefeld to cheer them on, because they've had a lot to cheer about.
Let's listen from the world champions.
Congratulations to the world champions title. What a tactic race, Johannes.
It was really hard race, and I think the conditions now is really tough, but I think all of us had very good skis today, and yeah, the waxing team and the guys helping us did a very good job, so it's very cool to stand here with those guys and take the gold medal. It's unbelievable.
Again, is it just as emotional as it was for your win, Martin?
This is a different kind of emotional, but for the team, this is the most important. This is the race we've been thinking about since we started training in May. So for the team and for Norway, I think this is emotional for the nation, and for us, we are such good of a group, and to be able to do this together and watch Johannes destroy Russia on the last leg, that was amazing.
Okay, what nice words. Congratulations anyway for your win. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Because it's a different feeling if you win by yourself or if you win with a team, right?
Oh, absolutely. Winning by the team, like you heard Martin say that it is just so important to win as a team like this on the relay days. And these are the moments you talk about as a team on all those tough trainings. So hats off.
And now Klæbo, he goes home, I think. He's done by the championship, leaves with 3 gold. 1 stage left of the World Championship for the men, and that's the 50K on Sunday. Will there be another Norwegian victory?
It's hard to bet against them, but I am Canadian, so I'm hoping for Alex Harvey to repeat, but it's going to be a great day no matter what.
All right, we see on Sunday when the last event, the 50K for the men, is going here in Seefeld. But now let's do the ski jumping, because there's another chance for gold medals for anyone. Later today, Alex and Jonas, when it's the normal hill here in Seefeld.
Most is so, Carsten, not at the same thing cross country. It's a lot of countries that could be going on the podium here today, Alex, with Germany, Poland, Austria, Japan, maybe Norway, and Austria obviously going for the podium.
Yes, there are a lot of countries, and I think it's the big revenge of the Polish team, because they did not medal in Innsbruck at the Bergisel.
When we're back, we'll talk also more about the weather, because like in the cross country, it's pouring down here in the small hill in Seefeld. See you in a couple of minutes.